to it in the
thing. Oh, maybe they did. So in the back there is a
light brown jacket.
Cool story.
We're not the first. We definitely won't be the last. We'd like to welcome you. Not another conspiracy cast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, not another conspiracy podcast. Episode 10.
I should have had a soundboard with some fucking drums or something, or the beginning of like a throwdown or Hatebreed set. You know,
Episode 10.
Episode bloody 10, guys.
we made it to double digits. Yay!
All right, partner.
All right.
Keep on
Yeah, that's it. I was waiting.
podcasting, baby.
In times of desperation.
We are the Limp Bizkit of podcasts, so you can love us and hate us.
My favourite
As much-
meme at the moment is that Limp Bizkit one with the Captain Planet. It's got like heaviest riffs, greatest singer, politically conscious lyrics, and it's Captain Planet. It just says Limp Bizkit.
That's fucking brilliant.
I'll put it in the Discord.
Oh, that's
Have you seen that other one that says, you know, like people have live, laugh, love on the wall? Someone's put live, laugh, Limp Biscuit.
That's me.
It's so good.
How was that? Oh, that's fucking superb.
So
That
good.
is so
It might
good.
not even be a thing in America, Dean. I don't know if like
Oh, it is.
middle class. What is it? Middle class or working
Yeah,
class
yeah.
white women?
My mother-in-law tried to. She said to us while we were sat at the dinner table that I was thinking of putting that on the wall. My wife and sister-in-law were just like, "Oh, live, laugh, love." No,
So good.
it is a thing over here. Yeah,
Karen decorations, isn't it?
That's it. Kicking off a Chipotle.
Okay, shall I do the intro again?
you what?
Yeah.
Dean's slowly losing the will to live right now.
No, I'm good. I just need to be more high.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Not Another Conspiracy Podcast with Dean Sauter in Michigan,
Good to see ya.
JJ Jackson in York,
Lockdown tier 2, baby.
and in lockdown tier 2, but not in my borough. It's
That's
okay. I can go out, but I can't go into like Castle Point borough because that's lockdown tier 2.
You can go out, but don't go out.
And you can go out, but you just can't meet anybody. So why the fuck would you even leave the
Unless
house?
you're going to the pub, then you can go to the pub and meet someone.
No, only in your house. Only in your household.
No,
So we got to
Or
build
your
pubs.
or
In
your
you
bubble.
got to build pubs in your
I can go
house.
to the
now.
pubs. I've already built a pub in my house at the beginning
Oh
of lockdown.
right. You can do that one.
It's called the Cinnamons. It's a Partridge
that.
reference.
And in Southend-on-Sea, Ben Mills, the other way. I don't
Here
know
we
which
go.
side I'm on.
One and only.
How are you doing, boys? It's been
there?
a while.
Good.
It's been a hot minute, as the kids say.
Do you know what? This is the most scheduled podcast we've done. In fact,
It is,
exactly
in actual
2
fact.
weeks since the last one, which is
Yeah. And we did say that people are actually paying money for this, so we better get our business OG socks on. Oh hey, segue. Look at that, OG socks. I've not got mine on at the moment.
It's barefoot.
But they're-
But
but
look how good they keep your bare feet. Clean. Very, very clean.
But yeah, ogsocks.co.uk, special offer code NAC. Get yourself 20% off some absolutely phenomenal socks. They
Brilliant socks.
physically feel like you're being hugged by a sock monster, but a good one.
Speaking
won't
of,
call them
Cottony spirit.
speaking of monsters,
Ooh.
what's today's episode, JJ?
Sega for
Today's
Wales.
episode is the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine Warren. This chick. I think
This
that
chick.
was her.
She was
That
one of the,
bitch.
she was one of the ones that got haunted.
These
Demons.
two, but
These two.
slightly less attractive. A lot less attractive than these two.
An ugly
Edward-
version of them too.
Edward and Lorraine Warren. If you are unaware of who they are, Ben, do you have a write-up or a blurb about them available, or?
Edward Warren and Rita Lorraine. Wait, no. Wait.
There we go. Clear them air valves there, Ben.
Edward Warren and Lorraine Rita Warren were American paranormal investigators and authors associated with prominent cases of hauntings. Edwards was a self-taught, which we'll get to, and self-professed, which we'll get to, demonologist, which we'll get to, author, which we'll get to, and lecturer, which he was.
We'll
and
give him that.
Lorraine professed to be a clairvoyant and light trance medium, who he worked closely with her
She was a
husband
DJ.
and Scooter. Yeah, a light trance medium. Does that mean someone that just listens to trance but not the heavy stuff?
Yeah, just a bit like one of them hard house pricks sort of thing. I want to quickly explain as well. If people are wondering, oh Jesus Christ, yeah, oh, could you imagine going to a rave and Ed and Lorraine Warren being the DJs? You'd be like, oh fuck's sake, wouldn't you?
It's
Just
all
get
all
the
of
props
that-
ready.
Rang up like 3 different numbers to try and get the location. Oh no.
They were just standing outside the club, painting it with loads of ghosts coming out of it, trying to creep everyone out.
Tell me, do you know of any haunted locations around here?
I should probably keep these for tonight, actually. I'll just hold them like this.
I'm Ed Warren, and I'm just
would-
wondering if you'd heard of any ghosts around these parts.
By cracky. I know. I just want to explain to a few people that if it might look like I'm on drugs or something, 1, I am. 2, I'm going to continue doing so. But 3, I've had septoplasty surgery, sinus bloody realignment and shit. And I can barely move my face at the moment without it hurting. So these two arseholes, I don't know, I guess I'm in the middle or whatever, they're probably going to be making me laugh all episode. And if you see me doing this, it's because I'm trying not to laugh or pulling a really weird face in efforts not to fucking hurt my face. So I just want to get that across to everybody at the minute.
In the efforts of this podcast, we have a few people we have to thank, or we would like to thank, not have to thank. And this is what drives us and wants us to be able to carry on doing the podcast, even when Dean should probably be in a drug-induced coma in bed. So,
yeah.
If he's covering his face, it's because his nose has actually exploded and there's blood everywhere. Or he's been possessed. It's one of the two.
Yeah,
we'll work that out. He's got ectoplasm flying out of every orifice, or going in every orifice. We don't. For everyone who's listening on the podcast, Dean's nose has already exploded, and there's blood everywhere.
And that concludes today's Not Another Conspiracy podcast.
It is hard. I won't lie. It is hard. Yeah, that's
possessions.
Stop talking about your penis. I know you're excited.
I was driving home from a shoot in Birmingham yesterday, and I was listening to a couple of podcasts on the Warrens, and I was like, at this point, like, I'd made up my mind, which I'm not going to say what it was, but
sure.
And at that point, my driver's mirror had suddenly changed position without me touching it. The boot opened, like the tailgate bit at the top opened, right? And a $5 had, like, kind of fallen out my pocket. And I was like, oh fuck! So I had to stop at a petrol station, like reset everything. I was like, that was weird. And then I realised that I'd had the spare key in my back pocket of the car, and
and you were sitting.
I'd popped the tailgate, and I don't know what I'd done with the mirror, but I think when the tailgate opens, I press that button, it gets it ready for, like, I don't know, something in my car.
Lift off.
Puts the mirrors in or something like that.
And the $5 had been almost falling out of the car the whole time, so it wasn't a demon. It was my own mistakes and arse.
Or maybe it was a good spirit, like a spirit that didn't want you to lose a $5.
Yeah, but then why?
All the other stuff was your fault. Like, you're just an idiot. But the $5 incident, somebody might have just been like, "Gonna take that $5."
I see that Ben isn't a culturally aware of demonology. Otherwise, you would have known that was a succubus.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Right. So every time I do these podcasts in the shed, or the Cinnamons as we call it,
The Cinnamons.
I'm in basically the end of the garden in pitch black, and by the end of it, I get pretty frightened. Like the end of the Helio one, I was pretty shit up. Like every time I looked out the window, like a fox,
Little goblins running around. Yeah.
So today I'm going to get very scared because imagine that if I come out the recording the podcast and there's just a tin can down there.
And then you opened it up and a massive spirit flew out. Oh, hello.
And it's a Connor. Yes, back to what we're going to do. Right, so we've got a new Patreon. A new patron since the last episode, and that is a good friend of mine and Dean's from Canvey Island. He's a monster.
Wonderful bastard himself.
And probably the most actually demon-possessed person I've ever met.
Yes, how fitting. How
Sam
fitting. I love him, man. Oh, Sam, you wonder. Oh, dude.
Sam is also doing some home engineering with DMT.
Yes, he is.
If you join
the FBI are outside of his house right now.
Mate, it's not the worst.
Here he is. The candid camera.
Sam, thank you so much, dude. Like,
appreciate it, man.
So much love and appreciation to you in general, dude. Miss you, mate. Miss you big time. But yeah, thank you, dude.
And thank you to everyone else who is a patron or just a listener. We love you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Apart from the ones that don't like it.
Yeah, the ones who just listen.
And we hate it. Yeah, we hope you get possessed.
In fact, we're going to conjure up some possessions right now.
Hey.
Yeah, so we are going to discuss Ed and Lorraine Warren. So basically, we've
listened,
content
we've observed
for 2 weeks to get this, to get our take. And a bit of it. Should we tell some of the story as well as?
Yeah,
absolutely. Tell the general public who, if they've not heard of them, where they are likely to have heard of them, which is in the Conjuring films and the Annabelle films. Ben probably already said that. I'm guessing.
I didn't.
Did you say that?
No,
oh, good.
I literally got up to the that she made house music or trance music.
So not only did they do all that glamorous list of things, they're also movie stars. Or movie producers,
their characters are portrayed as people probably do know and as people may not know in the Conjuring and also the Annabelle movies.
Because if I'm honest, I'd never kind of realised that they were a real couple. Like until recently, I don't know. I think one of them may have just died, or
they're all dead.
Yeah, Lorraine did. Yeah,
Lorraine just recently died though because she was dead.
she died. They're all dead. She died last April.
Yes,
at 92. She didn't see that coming, did she?
So, fucking hell.
This is where you find out that she probably did.
Yeah. I will read up, but we'll find out. I'll get onto Wikipedia later.
So I wasn't, as JJ said, when those movies came around, I wasn't aware that was the couple that they were based on. But I was aware of who the Warrens were, like, prior to it. But when I found out that, I was like, oh, shit, they're the Warrens. Like, okay, let's see where this goes. So I'll move into this immediately with conveying what I think of them. I do think they're snake oil salesmen. But I feel like the Hollywood portrayal of the both of them, I really like it. Like their actual living history, I'm a bit like, you conniving bastards. But then I look at the movie version of them and I'm like, go on, go bust all them ghosts. Like,
but isn't that the same? That's the same with every Hollywood movie. Like, if you go to Poland, most of the people absolutely hate Schindler.
Really?
They loved him in the film. But like most people in Poland don't like him very much. As we found out, like, oh yeah, what do you think about that Schindler lad? And they were like, what? And they're like, literally shun you out of the bar. Quite funny actually, but I'd have to do a bit more research before I get too far with that one. But they didn't like him very much.
From the 6 people JJ met in Poland, they didn't like Schindler.
No.
Right?
Yeah. All 6 of them definitely didn't like them. That's half a football team. Well, that's like
Just over.
half and a bit of a football team.
Yeah.
Enough.
And those films, they definitely are portrayed as a bit more skeptical and a bit more real. Like there's a bit in the Conjuring film where Ed kind of explains how it isn't a haunting or it isn't a demon.
Yes.
Which is like
the polar opposite.
Yeah, everything is a demon. Everything is a poltergeist in there.
It's crazy.
They claim to have 10,000 cases. They've investigated over
10,000 cases.
You can only find 10. Like even on their website, there's like on Warrens.net, which is the worst.
That looks as so Angel Fire and GeoCities it hurts.
So the first thing I found out about the cases was that they would consider a case interacting with somebody who possibly has seen a ghost. They counted that as a case. So that's less than a business card size piece of paper. That's a name and address. It's like
identifying a COVID patient. When they've died, they could have had COVID, but no, they actually had a cold. But we'll call it COVID. And
I've got like my phone book on my phone's probably got like 1,000 people in, and I call 2 of them.
Right, right, yeah.
I've got 10,000 contacts, but I only ring one person. So.
And that Ben brings that up in saying that they themselves say they've recorded 10,000 cases, yet we can only account for a certain amount. That's kind of like with a few things that I'm going to be bringing into discussion later. Like it's really funny that seems to be a continuation of a lot of their evidence. They claim a lot of shit, but yet don't really have actual sort of paperwork or any sort of like trail leading
pictures or video. All the videos are lost. All the pictures are like the pictures are like a blob or an orb, which is just a bit of dust. Orbs are just dust, people. If you've seen an orb, you've seen dust. Oh, here we go.
No. Here
comes Derek Akora's going to pipe up now. Oh, Mary loves dick. Mary loves dick.
Mary loves dick. She fucking does, Derek. She loves it.
Sam's telling me that orbs are real. Orbs are real. They're not.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've just jumped straight to the end, a bit like the Hellier episode. We've decided what we think about it already.
Let's let Ben break down what he has in his notes with who they are and how they became who they are exactly.
Let's start from the beginning. Ed was ex-Navy. He left the Navy to go to art school.
Because he enjoyed painting, allegedly, didn't he?
He loved painting.
He loved getting his wick wet.
He loved painting. And so he went to art school, and then Lorraine, who he'd met when he worked at the cinema a long time ago, they got married, and then they lived in a car with their daughter. Their young daughter, they lived in the car, and they would drive around to people's houses, and then Ed would paint those people's houses, and he would paint ghosts coming out of those people's houses.
I mean, we've skipped a large portion of their life.
No, that's when they kind of started doing.
Yeah, when the dastardly duo connected, like they.
We don't need to know.
We should probably go back onto like, let's be honest, probably like I don't know which one's Laurel and which one's Hardy because they were both a bit stupid, but Lorraine was Lorraine's the
clairvoyant claimed to be.
She's the one who's basically getting dragged along, and he's just like, "No, come on, Lorraine, let's fucking." And she's just like, "Oh, but I just want everything to be nice and happy." That's how I originally saw it. Like,
right, yeah. Everything isn't nice and happy. There are demons.
He's just a fucking squaddy, isn't he? He's just like, I don't want to go back on that shit with all them fucking blokes, man. I want to be travelling round, don't I?
Chasing ghosts.
Chasing ghosts. Chasing the dragon, the spirits.
He lived it. He was brought up in a haunted house. I don't know, like by ghosts, I assume.
It wasn't a carnival haunted house, by the way. It was like
like the Crooked House or something. Yeah.
It was brought up by ghosts in a haunted house, and
that's interesting as well. Yeah, because when he met Lorraine, she was like she self-proclaimed clairvoyant or something, wasn't she? Said she could see auras around people at a young age. and was punished at a Catholic school for saying that one of the nuns had a bigger aura than the Mother Superior, which I guess in Nun Town is like, don't speak of that. You get
Big
blocked.
ass.
Yeah, you get done for stuff like that. So was Lorraine really the one that was pushing that kind of narrative in their relationship to begin with? Because Ed is a self-taught and self-proclaimed demonologist, allegedly.
I feel that all of this comes later in life, the kind of the manipulation of the people.
Yes.
So basically those guys met, right? And they were like, oh, you like this and I like this. Let's do this together for the rest of our lives.
All right.
Am I right? Is that...
Well, yeah, because I look at it in that respect as well, that they were living and growing up like before they met and during when they met in like post World War II era. So we're just moving into a more of a modern civilized kind of like era of like human existence. So there are belief systems that are totally obviously different from even like in the 70s and 80s. What we're kind of close to being like knowledgeable about. Whereas when they grew up, and as JJ was saying, you like demons and spirituality. Well, me too. I kind of like that. As what you're a clairvoyant. Well, I kind of like the idea of demons. Like it sounded like a narrative that was something that was kind of frowned upon back then, but also of interest to a lot of people because everything was still very religious. And although we were kind of moving out of the 1800 religious sort of things, to me, they looked like they just found a corner in a market where they were like, well, exorcisms allegedly do happen and stuff like that. And, well,
and they were both
we're moving into ghost stories. And why don't we actually... why don't we actually be the mobile Ghostbusters sort of thing? To me, they sound like some very smart businessmen.
I think that the smartest business was, fucking hell, we've just had a world war. There's going to be loads of dead people that we can contact. And everyone's going to have a relative in the army. Let's go and find every single house. Door-to-door spirit salesman.
Well, they're door-to-door haunted painting salesman first.
Yeah. So, sorry, Ben, I did interrupt on that. So you go. I just wanted to get that Lorraine thing in there because she just kind of seems like the dithering idiot who kind of follows him everywhere in the films. I think she's got her shit together, but she doesn't quite know how to, sell it. Yeah. Whereas he's like, yeah, I know what's going on. See, that one.
He's a Navy boy, and like you said, squaddy.
Yeah, I think, Ed wanted to do this. Like he wanted to be an investigator. He wanted to be a paranormal investigator. He read a book when he was on when he was out on the ships, battleships, being a Navy man. Yeah. In the Navy, he found a book about a haunted. I think it was actually Borley Rectory in.
Oh,
Essex.
Really? In Essex? Yeah.
He'd found out, and we'll get onto that later because they visited Borley Rectory about 28 times.
Really?
Yeah, and I've got a case here that is gonna blow your mind, Dean.
Ooh.
They were in Southend-on-Sea. The Warrens have been to Southend-on-Sea.
Whoa!
Yeah,
we've walked in the Prince of Legends.
Exactly, but yeah, so he found a book about hauntings and haunted houses, and that obviously he lived in a haunted house as a child, apparently, so it kind of sparked his interest a bit, and then I think that's where he got the idea to do the investigation. But I think that's where he also probably got the idea that there was money involved because
absolutely, yes.
I think as soon as he saw that there was books and stuff there, I thought that seems like where they're heading on every case.
And that's to me why after listening to their story and researching about them, it just sounds like to me that they were very smart snake oil salesmen, where one of them saw a gap in the market and also was dating a very impressionable lady. Maybe it was like they had two sort of perfect balances in achieving what they've set out and achieved, basically.
She had the sight.
Right. She sounded pretty confident that she was this person that had a sixth sense, that was able to see auras and all sorts, whereas you've got him very confident, like you were saying, ex-squaddy. Do you know what I mean? So he's got some streetwise about him. And even the way he talks he's very streetwise, doesn't he? You hear him in interviews, very
confident.
very confident, which is, I guess, in that respect, not surprising when you're trying to peddle stuff like that.
Yeah.
In
and
50s.
he was like the first of his kind. Like he was 1 in 7, I think, demonologist at the time. Like he was 1 in 7. Yeah, and I think he was probably the first one who like.
I thought you meant he was 1 in 7 children who was like they were all demonologists. I was like, there was definitely something going on in that house.
Yeah, so
Packed with the devil, maybe.
He kind of make up the rules as he went along. Like, like there's no such thing as ghosts. Like that was one of the main things. Like there's no such thing as ghosts. Like they're all demons, and they're a lot of them are inhuman, which they've never been human, and they want to inhabit a human body.
Right.
So
and I guess it was in an era as well where you can't just easily trace someone's words as you can now. So again, forward thinking, someone was like, well, I can claim this, and that place doesn't exist anymore. So how the fuck are they going to find out if I'm telling the truth or not? Like, so
basically they just traveled around, right? They were like, this thing where the drawing is like the thing that I like. I love it. It's so good.
You could do that, but you could.
But I could be.
Well, if they shut the shop again in lockdown, I think you should start doing that as like Patreon things for people.
Go around to people's houses. By the way,
do a really nice picture. Did you know like a shitty little Casper flying out?
Did you know you've got a 7th layer demon succubus in your dining room?
Where?
I saw it. Yeah,
I don't have a picture, but I saw it.
I've drawn it for
my brain is a camera, you see.
To the future.
That's just so funny. Just what a great business proposition. It was like, and Mr. Warren, is that my painting's nearly done, and there we go. Oh, lovely. I don't remember.
The thing that gets me the most.
Really? That's what I saw. Oh,
the thing that gets me the most is like the way that like the pictures have been described. And I mean, I've seen some of them, and I'm just like,
oh, I haven't.
These people who are like the cases, which we'll get onto, but they say that like there was this car outside my house for a few weeks, and then like they eventually came and knocked on the door. I've seen the pictures. There's a reason why he's living in a car. Like if it took him a couple of weeks to draw the paintings, the pictures that he did, that's why he's a failed artist, and that's why he's doing what he does. Like he's like,
and so coming Lorraine, from an artist yourself.
Yeah. So Lorraine basically would drive, like, this is how I've heard it worked. They would drive past houses, and then Lorraine would get like a shudder, and she'd be like, oh my God. And she'd look at like the house and be like, there's a spirit in there. And then Ed would be like, okay, like describe it to me. But while she's like, honey, jittering on, just like, well, he's got like long fingers, and he's like, no, honey, I'm drawing the door, give me a second. And then like it cuts to like a week later, and then there's just like this door with like a couple of fingers sticking out of it.
It's so
and
brilliant.
She's like, want me to describe the rest? No, we'll go show them now. Knock on the door. He's like, all right, mate, what do you want? He's like, there's a ghost in your house. Me and my wife have been sat outside for 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, no, we've seen you.
You've been sat outside my house for 2 weeks, and you fucking give me this. Like, what the fuck is that?
Are you mental?
Yeah.
That's what...
No, don't worry. We're not trying to sell the painting. I fucking hope not, mate.
But let's be honest. Back in that day and age, so many people were so religious and so impressionable that would work. Why wouldn't that work? Like it's like all of the advert, like the QVC bloody shows that you get that are just deliberately waiting for people's old people's pensions to come out, to which they then put massive sales on that day. It's kind of like that. They're just like trying to lure these completely impressionable, vulnerable people in. What's that, Mum?
JML made their whole business on it.
Someone hung themselves in my dining room. Like, what? I got a painting.
I'm going to try and explain these. I'm going to try and explain the paintings without using any descriptive words about colour or.
That's going to be
hard. Imagine you've bought tickets online to an event that you take your children to, or your girlfriend, and you pick pumpkins. Imagine the sign that has been homemade by the farmer and put on the side of the road to advertise said pumpkin farm and picking thing. That's what these drawings look like. They look like a crazy old bloke's made a sign for a haunted house.
And then some cunts just come and graffitied a little used Johnny on the side, just like flying off. So basically that's what they did, right? They basically went door to door. They were just like, they were gypsies, weren't they, that were trying to basically...
They were gypsy Jehovah's Witnesses.
Niche. Yeah. They were just...
Yeah.
They were, like you say, at the end of the World War, people were, like, very vulnerable, and people were, like... Also, a lot of people, like... Imagine, like, after lockdown, someone just came and knocked on your door, and they're like, hey, I've been drawing your house for the last couple of weeks. Don't know if you've noticed, but there's a ghost in your garden. Like, all right, cool. Let's have a chat about it. Like,
say that.
Can we go look at it? It's like, doesn't matter, I've got it here.
Yeah, there was a blitz about 5 years ago, so...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the house got completely demolished, so any spirit should be essentially crushed to death. Like, that's not how spirits work, you see.
Yeah.
They're
invincible! You cannot see them. And then Ed's just like...
And then he goes round the corner,
and Lorraine's just like, no.
Puts his glasses on, gets his big cigar out and goes, I'm a demonologist, don't you know? See? Here's my card. Do you mind if we come in, sir? Here,
he throws it through the door and he's like, I've dropped my card, get out of the way. And then he's in the house. And that means that's it. You've invited him in. He's the first demon.
Done. Yeah.
He's just passing it on.
I think the term psychic vampire definitely comes into play with these guys. So, yeah, they basically lived in the back of a car with their daughter for a fair while. I don't know how many years, but it was a lot of years before they actually started making money. And in 1952, the Warrens founded the New England Society for Psychic Research, or NESPA.
NESPA.
The oldest ghost hunting group in New England.
Or just in New England.
Yeah, just how big's New England?
Was that hype, man?
Yeah, was that like...
Biggest do you know what? I've just set up a psychic paranormal group in York. It's the oldest one in York. Right, I've just set it up right now. It probably isn't though, is it? That's the scariest
thing. Not in York.
How did they get away with setting up something? What was it called? The New
England Society for Psychic Research. You just say, Dean, like tomorrow I could start a limited company called Psychic Research in and around Southend-on-Sea, and that's it. Yeah, it's done.
Well, it's funny as well that when it comes to like psychic stuff and stuff like that. When were the MK Ultra? Yeah, when were the MK Ultra shit like going on? Was that the 70s?
It was the 70s.
And stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of no surprise as well that kind of like they were accepted
60s.
as like, or they managed to make a name for themselves with all of this sort of shit. Because if that sort of stuff was going on even at the government line of standard of things, there must have been a general populace that had a belief in spirituality and psychics and mediums and balls, you know.
That's been going on for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Like with the witch trials and, you know, it's all different beliefs and all different things like that. So it's always probably been in the background of people's minds, but no one was using it to make money.
And that's
fighting a war.
Yeah, and that's in my opinion, how they rose to fame and became as big as they were, was because they saw this niche, they saw this hole in the market. Clearly, Ed knows how to sell. He comes across as that sort of guy. You've got Lorraine, very confident that she's been seeing this stuff since she was 7 or 8. They have an absolute landscape of impressionable people to try their luck with. It's no surprise they became what they were. So
before we jump into the cases, I think we need to... I know we usually do this at the end, but I think we need to like break this down into sections personally.
Yes.
So before we jump into the cases, I think we need to discuss where our beliefs are on the actual concept, the paranormal concept.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because we've already, Dean, you've already said you're not a fan of those guys, you know, they're snake oil salesmen. So that would be the belief that they were just selling old rope. Like, well, not even old rope, just no rope. They're like, I've got a barrel of rope, but there's no rope.
Selling sand to an Arab sort of thing.
It's invisible rope.
And that famous saying, I'm just selling a barrel of rope, you know, the ancient Greek proverb by Socrates. Is he selling a barrel of rope? Anyway. So
new barrel of rope t-shirt coming soon.
When it comes to the paranormal and stuff like that, I do believe that there is, when you die, something does happen. I don't think it needs to be religious or religiously understood. I don't think it needs religion around it for there to be spirits, ghosts, or an afterlife, or the paranormal side of things. I just feel like there's the life is too weird in itself for like a soul not to exist, even without the idea of gods and religions.
So take the religious aspect. I think this is what everyone should do with this case, this story. I think everyone should try and take the religious aspect out of it. And try and see, even though the terminology refers to things that we've been taught by religion, I find that people should take the religious aspect out of it, because I think we're all on the same page with religion, us three. I'm not sure about our listeners, but I think we're all kind of agnostic or atheist.
Agnostic.
As the Bouncing Soul says, we are true believers.
I mean, I totally believe in
God.
God. I don't know. I don't know what I believe.
So do you believe there is something?
I don't know. I thought we were in a simulation.
Well, a scientist just came out this week. Like a big scientist came out this week and said there's 50% chance we're in a simulation.
Yes,
But he also said if the percentage that we are in the simulation, the 50%, he says there's 100% chance we wouldn't know about it. So I'm like, so we're 100% in a simulation then, aren't we, really? Because if we knew about it, we wouldn't know we were in it. So
it's just a paradox.
Yeah.
I guess, I believe some things. Religion-wise, no. I just think, believe what you think. I think all religions are a bit bullshit, really.
Yeah.
I feel the concept of religion came from somewhere. And I believe that a lot of the things that they say in religion is just, and I don't believe, I just believe over years it's become more and more and more corrupt. And one of the things that we spoke about, like, I'm going to get there now, because we were saying that the idea that people use spirituality to sell Christianity or sell religion is that, for me, is the biggest selling thing. So, you say they're snake oil salesmen. Yes, they made a lot of money out of it, but it's similar to the Bob Lazar thing. Mm-hmm. I feel that they're trying to push something, but why not skim a couple of pounds off the old...
I understand,
off the old Pope's stockpile. Or whatever religion. Yeah. So, I feel that we're all on the same page with that. Yeah. So if we take that element of, they were very religious. They were but they weren't. I don't feel that they were henchmen of the Roman Catholic Church. I don't believe that the Roman Catholic Church were probably the same as Bob Lazar is to whoever. They're probably
Area
just like, let them do it. Let them do it. Whatever.
I understand.
No one will ever fucking. Yeah.
I think that's a very good point, JJ.
I feel that if we take that out of it, we can kind of look at it as more an analytical, because I think we're all under the belief that everyone has different beliefs, and they're not the main important part of this. It's
sure.
How they kind of.
Yeah. I think they use that religion and the Catholic Church to their own, to help them, with validating their
speciality.
Validating themselves rather than actually being devout Catholics. I think they saw the Catholic Church as a way of legitimizing what they were doing,
a shoulder to lean on sort of thing.
Because we've also, I think we've probably got to point out as well that around this, well, not around this time, but it was like all these issues that we're going to discuss in terms of like possessions and stuff like that could still have been seen as mental health issues or or like physical issues.
Nothing that a lobotomy couldn't fix.
No, yeah, exactly. Which they were still doing until you kids came along and spoiled it all. But my friend Tasha was talking to me. She'd just gone to see a film called Saint Maud.
Okay.
It's a new horror film. It's like sold as a horror, but it's a bit like the whole Joker thing. It's like an outside look at mental health and how it's been completely misconstrued. Because I was talking to them earlier on about, like, just before we get into this, like how people used to just shut it off, didn't they? As like, oh, you know, he's got they didn't used to go, oh, he's got mental health problems, it's fine. They'd be like, he's possessed, kill him, and like literally crush him with rocks.
Yeah.
And I read some things about, does he float? No. Does he drown? He's a witch. He's dead. But I read this thing about how, which does tie into the religious part of it a little bit, but I was reading this thing about how in this village there was a woman who was like kept getting pregnant, and she kept telling her husband that it was the devil, and it's a really sad story because I don't know if it is a proverb, because it felt like a really old, and I can't remember it for the life of me, but it felt like a really old kind of moral story.
Yeah.
But the guy kept believing her. Like, you know, she was like not interested in him, obviously banging everyone in the village, and they're all like, and she's like, no, it's another demon. But instead of turning on her, like, you know, absolute sex fiend, he believed there were like demons. But because he was such a nice guy, he was letting, you know, he was like, because he knew if anyone found out about it, the baby would be born and he would fucking get murdered, and she would get murdered. So he was like, just like sending them off to like, I don't know, orphanages and stuff. Whereas in like, which is dark, but then you look at the story of like Jesus and whatnot, and you're like, oh, it's not a devil. It's the biggest angel ever. You know, someone just went on their head and been like, oh, well, everyone's talking about demon possession. Maybe there could be a angel possession.
What about
but
the
yeah,
other
I thought it was like interesting that, you know, and that was only up until like the late 1800s that people were still doing that kind of shit. So it's like, and probably early 1900s. So it's not, it's not 30, that far away.
Years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. So, but yeah, I think that would be a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring the moment down.
I'd say that before we get into these cases as well, that actually by listening to different accounts and different people talking about these cases and reading the cases, actually think that the Warrens have made me believe in ghosts and demons and spirits less. Like, they've actually made me think, oh, well,
really?
Actually, the whole thing's kind of like gone.
And
it's
funny.
Like because the tropes, they kind of invented the tropes of this ghost hunting kind of thing. Oh, it's all cold spot. Oh, I feel warm.
Yeah.
And
I've wet myself.
And it's all very personal, like, feelings. Like, there's never any testing. There's never any measurement. There's never like thermometers,
electromagnetic fields, and
none of this stuff in any of their cases. There's no real evidence. It's just a case of them walking into a room and going, "Cool, blimey, But it's
lots of demons."
Next, even if there's more than one person,
you need a radiator.
It's only personal accounts. Like, and the more you think about it, the more you realise, actually, if you look into more of these kind of ghost hunting things and ghost evidence, it's all just up here. It's all in the brain.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
How you're perceiving it yourself.
Yes. We're getting very deep into this, right? Because this is where my argument comes in against what you've just said, Ben, because we were talking last week about people willing things, like the concept that, you know, like mob mentality.
Synchronicity and
so
stuff.
This is, I think we should talk about it when we get onto the certain things that they were doing, because like, again, the mechanical measurements and stuff weren't as good as they are now. And ghost hunting evidences seem to have dropped off a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not there. But is it the fact that the tools might not be what they're... Because this is the thing about Lorraine. She's the tool, isn't she? Like, they're both tools, but she's the tool. So this is where I got completely lost on chronology.
Yeah,
Like,
so
I don't know what case was first.
We'll do it in alphabetical order then instead.
Sure, yeah.
Alphabetical?
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
is it because it's on Wikipedia in alphabetical?
And I do actually think that Annabelle was the first one, but chronologically,
Okay.
I think 1970 is the first one, which is Annabelle. It's the first recorded case.
Okay.
Even though they've got 10,000, they've been going since 1952. The first actual case that they are famous for is the Annabelle case. And if anyone's heard of Annabelle, you might have seen the film with the really fucking scary looking doll, which is, again, nothing like the real life Annabelle.
It's a Cabbage Patch doll, let's be honest. It's a Raggedy Ann.
Yeah, which is it's hairs made of yarn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a yarn barrel if anybody wants any yarn. Next to my rope barrel.
The story is two roommates, two student nurses. They live together, and one of them, I can't remember which one's mother, brought her an antique Raggedy Ann doll. And over the course of owning this doll, the doll starts moving of its own accord. Very lightly, very like small movements at first, but eventually bigger movements. Leave it on the bed, it's on the sofa.
It's on the sofa with its feet up.
Leave it in the kitchen, it's in the oven.
It did a marathon.
It is. It's in the oven. I go down to make some breakfast. It's in the bloody bath.
It's got an Apple Watch on.
Running herself a bath, isn't she? Using up all the bubble bath, and how the Raggedy Ann thinks she is.
You got it done. You're all soggy.
They've got this Raggedy Ann doll, and they've also got another bloke, Lou, who lives with them.
Oh yeah,
Lou.
Before I finish the story, well, when I finish the story, I'll let you know what I think about Lou. But so this Annabelle doll starts leaving parchment paper, like oldie time parchment paper messages, which is like, well, they didn't have any in the house. There's Lou's, I reckon Raggedy Ann, she's got a bit of A4 paper at the printer. She's covered it in tea bags, burnt the edges.
Yeah.
A lot of effort gone in by this doll to make this note.
A little trail to Lou's room with like an X on his bed.
The thing is, though, that doll, that thing can't hold a fucking pen or a pencil in those bloody...
Can't it?
It's got no fingers. Like, it's a Raggedy Ann doll's just like a paw with like two stitches as a gap.
Opposable thumb.
That's because it wasn't haunted. It was the spirit, the demon was using it as a conduit.
Right.
It wasn't using it as a conduit, actually. It was pretending that it was using it as a conduit. But actually, it was the demon doing it all with his demon hands.
Go ahead.
The Raggedy Ann doll then started talking to them through a medium, not Lorraine. She's not arrived yet. Started talking to them through a medium, and she convinced that Annabelle that she was the spirit of a dead girl called Annabelle Higgins. That's where the name Annabelle comes from, and that she just wanted to live in the doll and be peaceful with, and have them kind of as roommates. And for some bizarre reason, they said, "Yes, spirits, please inhabit this doll and live with us." Which, if you know anything about demonology, which you probably don't, because let's be honest, that gave the spirit or the demon permission to enter and stay in the flat with them, which then would let it grow its powers and become more powerful. So then one night, Lou, who I reckon was shagging one of them because he didn't live there. He was just, I think he was a friend.
Just a bloke to turn up every now and then. Yeah.
So Lou was asleep one night and he woke up paralyzed. So he's got sleep paralysis, and he's looking around and he looks in the bed and there she is.
Annabelle's sitting there sucking his dick.
And she climbs up. And she slides up.
No hands.
She shuffles up the body.
Ugh. Oh. No, Annabelle.
Towards Lou.
Not like this.
Who's paralysed there in bed.
Oh, he can't do anything, can he?
No, Annabelle, no. He's
climbing up. I thought you meant he's paralysed because she was that good at it. Just can't move. It's just so good, man.
No, Annabelle, no. Stop. Don't stop.
Her yarny hair like wrapping around his balls.
All I could think of is that scene in Ghostbusters when Ray's on the
Ray's getting his belt undone. Yeah. Rule 34. Rule 34. Oh.
35. 35, mate.
Is it 35 or Rule 35? 34? I thought it was Rule 34.
One of them.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's one. Yeah. Anyway,
Annabelle,
she doesn't, but she doesn't suck him off. She doesn't give him a blowjob.
Oh. God,
She
got worried then.
strangles him.
Ah! Why didn't she just suck him off? That'd have been nicer than strangling
So
him.
with her little soft bit, she strangles him, and then he passes out, and then he wakes up, and it was all a dream.
Is that the actual account? Is that the genuine account?
That's the genuine account from Lou.
Or did that come from Ed from Lou?
No, that was I don't know.
So let's just write that one off because it was a dream. Like,
No, that bit was
I
a
have
dream,
dreams
yeah.
about fucking weird things, and like, you know what? I tell people if it turned out that the thing that I'm dreaming about was possessed.
Yeah. So
Just
that
saying.
happened. So then
But I
Ed and Lorraine stepped in. They get invited round to kind of fix the problem and jump at the chance. Literally, you know,
Fall out of their car, which is parked outside their drive.
Look, did
I
Lou?
painted it.
I reckon this is just a really. This is a situation where the Lou was using the doll for something, and this whole thing has just got out of hand. He nearly got caught and was like, it tried strangling me. It's possessed. It is. Like with his trousers down and everything, and now
And there's a couple of loose stitches and a bit of stuffing hanging out the anus.
Now suddenly the Conjuring.
So
Unfilled doll.
Ed and Lorraine show up and jump at the chance to take Annabelle with them, but not without event, because on the way home the car starts playing up, doesn't it? Car starts fucking about.
So what they've been living in forever.
This is the same car, bear in mind, that a demon apparently took the handbrake off on Ed's car and it rolled down the street once. This is so. I
Is it the same demon that like invited the prostitute in to suck him off, and then Lorraine found him, and he was like, "Oh my god, it must have been that demon again that let the hooker in the car."
It was
and
Annabelle.
He must have unzipped my pants. Oh,
You got quick fit sitting there going, no, you just need a new handbrake, mate. No, it was a spook.
Maybe Ed just had a bit of a crappy car. So anyway.
All because the guy just wanted to fuck a doll.
Yeah, I bet Lou's
disgusting.
This has got out of hand.
Yeah, Lou's just sitting there like, didn't you hear about it? Didn't you meet
demons.
this Lorraine and Ed Warren once? No, never seen him before in my life. No idea. What? Who?
Yeah, demon.
It was a demon, wasn't it?
Demon did it.
Demon did it.
Demon did it.
So, but obviously, Ed always prepared. He opens his satchel because it was a satchel. It had to be a satchel. He had a satchel. He didn't have a bag.
Indiana Jones has one.
I was going to say it wasn't a Reebok sling over, was it?
Yeah, he had opened his satchel, pulled out his holy water, doused Annabelle with the holy water, and the car miraculously starts again.
Of course it did.
Wow.
Why wouldn't it?
You would expect.
Wow.
Do you reckon that he threw it in there? Annabelle's going,
yeah.
in the back. All right. So apparently, now Annabelle sits.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
You see, the funny thing is about that, like, that's the kind of, like, when people say that I exaggerate, that's the kind of story I'd tell if my radiator had run out of water. I'd be like, and I got this bottle, and it was holy water, and I just poured it in the engine, and oh my God, it just started working again. I'd be like, really? Yeah. Holy water, man.
Yeah.
It's that kind of, like, crusty water that's in your boot. Or that crusty water you left outside my house that time, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
In that massive 5-litre bottle. That crusty yellow water.
Oh, fuck's sake.
That was apple cider.
So that
Apple
is,
cider, yeah.
so that is the genuine origin story of Annabelle.
That's
like the doll.
That's the whole story of Annabelle.
Now it's locked away in Ed and Lorraine Warren's museum. Occult museum that is owned by
them.
A businessman, in actual fact.
Tony Spira is their son-in-law.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
He married Judy. He married Judy Warren, their daughter.
Now they all have a go on Annabelle.
Also, if you've ever watched, if you go to like the Warren's YouTube channel, he's the guy who calls himself the moderator. On he's meant to be an impartial moderator, but he's not. He is their.
That's
he's part of the business. He's the.
That's like wearing a band shirt to the band's show. Do you know what I mean? That's like being in U2 and calling yourself the Edge. Like, I am the moderator.
Can we just like take a moment for Hollywood, please? Like one single moment for Hollywood. If people aren't going to research this because some people are driving, but please take a look at the.
Oh, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? The difference.
It can't focus, but
the
Annabelle, the real Annabelle doll.
Yeah, have you seen it? Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
It kind of looks like Annabelle 1 was Child's Play, and Annabelle 2 is Child's Play 12, the return of Chucky's fucking ex-girlfriend or whatever.
I just don't see what Lou sees in Annabelle, to be honest.
That second Annabelle is the one after Lou had got his hands on it and he'd fucked it to death. Like, he choked it and fucking filled her tushy sack full of fucking... She is a broken woman. She's the next door neighbor on My Name Is Earl.
How it started, how it ended, meme.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrendous.
God damn it, Lou.
So do you know there's a death attributed to Annabelle, a murder?
Yes,
just one.
Allegedly, yeah.
Just one death.
Just one death.
Yeah,
so a rambunctious ne'er-do-well visited the occult museum one day.
A what?
A rambunctious ne'er-do-well.
Ne'er-do-well.
What, like me or you? Like one of us three. Someone like us, like, who've gone there and gone, oh, look at that fucking doll, looks like fucking, she's not hard or anything, I'll fucking have her, I'll kill her, I'll rip her head off, fucking.
What's that little hole in her bum?
Oh, it's Lou's ex. He showed up.
Lou's ex.
So him and his girlfriend went to the occult museum. They paid their $27 to get in and walk around a room. And this unnamed young'un was slagging off Annabelle to her face, calling her all sorts. And he went,
behind glass, just like,
I'm not scared of you, Annabelle. I'll get you. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, on his way home with his girlfriend on the back of his motorcycle, they were laughing about Annabelle and on the motorbike. And if anyone's been on a motorbike, there's no way you can have a conversation with a person on the motorbike where you're going along.
But back in the day, they didn't wear helmets, so this is probably one attributed to their death.
Yeah.
And two, probably allowed them to have a conversation. Just saying.
As he said something about Annabelle, or I'm not scared of her. He crashed into a tree and died, and his girlfriend survived, and that's how they know the last thing they were talking about was Annabelle.
And the fact that there is actually no traceable evidence back to that like actual incident at all.
It never happened. It's only Ed who has that.
Ed had mentioned that in saying that the last person had mocked her died, and there's no paper trail or any evidence that leads to there actually being a death of someone who had just left that museum.
Just imagine if there was an actual paper trail, though, if Annabelle escaped and it was just loads of old coffee-stained Rizzlers, just like with, you will die at the end of this trail. And then she's just there spreading her little cotton anus. This is what happened to the last guy with like a head in between her legs.
Like a goatee.
She's got an L and a U, an L and a U on each cheek. This is what happened the last time someone left their spirit inside me.
So, if you guys want to hear if anyone wants to read the full story, the official Warren story on this, go to thewarrens.net or tonyspira.com as it is now.
Yeah, he's basically taken the Warrens. He's taken the Warrens' life work and just renamed it into Unani, really.
Yeah. And if you on their website, after every paragraph is like a Google AdSense thing after every paragraph.
I'm still just imagining that fucking Annabelle doll in some like levers and a ball gag and shit, just like in the middle of a field, in the middle of nowhere, just waiting for you, like pinned herself down. Take me, daddy.
This is how the new romance era started. Like Lou was writing like love songs in his bedroom about Annabelle the doll, just like. I was staying over at a friend's house, and then you split your seam.
Yeah, before I met you. Oh God.
So Annabelle, yeah. Fact or fiction, boys? Fact or fiction?
There is more to Lou's story that I didn't get, but apparently he was.
Oh, okay.
He saw her on the floor in the side of the room. Went to pick her up, and he felt a presence behind him. He turned around, and he got scratched on his chest 7 times. Well, he says scratched 7 times, but actually 4 what down and 3 across.
4 and 3.
3 across. But it's like that. Like and the scratches disappeared after a day. But
of course they did.
Because they do. Because that happened.
Are you sure it wasn't like 2 3s and then just a right down the
Yeah.
Yeah, where is that it? And then a devil tongue. Oh, fact or fiction? It's nothing that cute. I'm not saying it's cute. I'm not. I've convinced myself that I fancy Annabelle the doll.
Do you want? Before we.
She sounds hot. Your friend sounds hot. What's she? She's a Raggedy Ann doll. Oh yeah. Cool.
Before we give our own thoughts on this, do you want to read the? Do you want me to read the Warrens' official conclusion to the story?
Yeah, go on. I haven't heard that.
I would love you to.
Father Cook, although uncomfortable with his role as an exorcist, agreed to perform the 7-page rite of exorcism as a doctrine he recited throughout the apartment, at which point the Warrens were confident that the entity would no longer reside there. They agreed to take the rag doll back home with them. Upon leaving, Ed placed the doll in the back seat and agreed he would not take the interstate in the event that inhuman spirits still reside within the doll.
Because they hang about on the side of a road waiting for someone.
Yeah, that's
like those quivery arm blokes trying to get attention.
Wacky waving inflatable flailing tube man.
His suspicions were all too correct. In no time, the Warrens felt themselves as the object of a vicious hatred. Then, at each dangerous curve, the car swerved and stalled with every corner causing the power steering and brakes to fail. Repeatedly, the car verged on collision. Ed reached into the back seat into his black bag and took out a vial of holy water and doused the doll, making the sign of the cross over it. The disturbances stopped immediately, and the Warrens arrived safely home. After the Warrens arrived home...
And they made
a whole fucking film about it. In fact, they made 2 films about it. In fact, no, they made 3 films about it. No, in fact, they made 4 fucking films. 4 films about it. Considering 1 had her in it. Annabelle 1, Annabelle 2, Annabelle Comes Home, Annabelle the Saucy Seduction Part 4. The Return of Lou.
Annabelle on Brazzers.net.
She's a slut. Oh my God, I really hope we aren't. Like, me and Ben have been having a bit of a back and forth about like how increasingly uneasy we're starting to feel with these podcasts. Like,
I've got all the lights on out in the garden right now.
It's like that scene in Scream when she just turns the lights on, but it's just you tied to a chair. Like, Annabelle's stood behind her and she's just about to like.
If I have a power cut tonight, that's it. I'm going in. I'm not restarting the podcast. That's it. It's done. And
episode 10, the last episode. The demise of Ben Mills.
And the last sentence on the Annabelle page on TonySpira.com, formerly thewarrens.net, is Ed warns you, do not challenge evil, that no man is more powerful than Satan.
This is what pisses me off the most, because they're tarring them all with the same brush. They're just like, they're not spirits, they're demons, and demons belong to Satan. Like,
done. Conclusion.
This is the religious part of it. Like, Satan was essentially an angel. So, I mean, he might be a demon, but he might be a nice guy. Give him a fucking break.
He might actually be sitting again. Fuck it, it's been It's been 5,000 years, and I still think I'm a dickhead. Like
That's it.
Oh, yeah, why is it
Annabelle was just a tortured girl, like those girls like at school who were like they were really nice, but then one guy fucked them over, and now they're absolute whorebags.
He's like, I'm trying to bring her down here and get her sorted so she can get to heaven. You got those two pricks locking her in a cupboard up there.
Exactly. Which they didn't actually lock her in a cupboard to begin with. They just had her on a display chair.
Oh, that's
apparently
it.
She kept escaping the display chair, so they locked her in like a little fire extinguisher. I was like, I bet Lorraine did that. I bet every night she woke up and Ed's just like this, lifts the covers up, and he's just, Ed, why have you got fucking Annabelle on your dick again? It was the demons, darling. The demons did it again. So Lorraine's like, you know, like one of those really slow-mo scenes of her just like hand sawing wood. And then it's just a perfect glass and wood cage. And Annabelle's just like trapped in it with Lorraine is sewn back up. But Lorraine just like cuts a little bit of her hair off and she's like, that'll teach her, and then uses it to sew her arsehole.
You thought about this a lot, haven't you?
Well, you know, I said I have dreams about things. But I also don't have a possessed doll. So,
right.
So for everyone who's listening at home, Ben's freaked out now and he's gone to put more lights in his garden. But you can just see waves of red hair running past his window. So I don't know chronologically where we are now. Ben was saying that the Annabelle story is, I think, the first one that really made them famous, at least. But if we were to finalise our opinions on this one, I think this is a lot. I'm not having it. That there is nothing that doll. It was them.
All right, Ben.
It was for me. It was them dipping their toes in the water of how much they can get away with.
Right,
I feel it's like, right, we know our shtick, we know what's happening, but we need to find out what we can get away with. Like, we found this really strange scenario, this love triangle up in probably Connecticut, which it seems like every single one of their cases is.
I don't think any of it's real. I reckon they got that Annabelle doll from like an antique shop.
Oh, so you don't think they even spoke to Lou? You don't think Lou sexually assaulted Annabelle at all?
What?
Sorry to let you down there, but with this case, I don't think any of those people existed.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say that's far from the truth at all. Like, I just think it's a load of horseshit.
I think the whole thing is pure fabrication.
Yep. I can totally agree with that one. And it's also interesting to note as well that around the time, there was also another doll that was allegedly a haunted doll that lived in the attic of a house called Robert, that was also, he was dressed as like a Navy sailor, wouldn't he?
Which, there is a film about Robert, or loosely based on Robert, called The Boy.
Yes.
Oh, really?
That is even fucking weirder.
The Boy?
Like, because that is probably what happened with Robert.
Oh, God. Oh, right, yeah, I can see that on IMDb. I'm going to save that one.
Yeah, it's horrendous. Don't bother. I went to the cinema to see it, and I think it's the first... You know when you do those laughs and you think you've broken a rib, like, with just one exhale of hair? Yeah. You're like, ah! And you're like, your rib cage just shatters. Like, it felt like that. Like, they all just convulsed like fucking... like a snake's back and just went... And then, I literally was like, this is horrendous. And I just couldn't stop laughing after that.
So, around the time, it was popular. Like, haunted dolls, they were a thing, you know? And because, obviously, they were looking for their own shtick, let's go and make our own Robert doll and call it something else, or the female version of what it is. And also, not too many years prior to it, there was a very interesting Twilight Zone episode that I think aired in the late 60s that was called Talking Tina. And it was about a doll that was trying to take out the stepfather of the family. And the woman that got the doll for this Talking Tina doll for her daughter was called Annabelle. So there's a lot of synchronicity going on.
I'd say that was the story was stolen from Twilight Zone by Ed and put into like
You see, I see the hole in your story straight away. There is not a fucking chance that they had a TV in that car, Ben. So you're wrong.
This is after the car. This is after the car. The Annabelle's when they got like
They can't even afford the fucking car. They can't afford a TV.
They've not got the car now. The car is second. They don't live in the car anymore. They've got the Nespa now. They're part of Nespa.
Yeah.
Right. So first off, was it like they had 9,000 cases and then Annabelle came, so they made loads of money and they're like, we can upgrade now. We can buy a doll.
They've started making money by this point, and then they started. I obviously got into the PR stuff, but this is the first one they wrote a book about.
This is where it gets hairy. Like, I lost interest with this book stuff.
This is the Haunting of Connecticut book now, is it?
Or, yeah, we can do that one. Yeah.
Well, no, is that the one that's in second in order to Annabelle? Because
no, this is 1986. The next one is Demon Murder Trial, I believe.
Oh, so
the devil made me do it.
No, it's not. No. Even I think it might be. Well, I think we might have to go back.
Okay.
I think Amityville might be next.
Okay.
In this wild world of not another conspiracy podcast, we're gonna make the time machine and go back because there's a lot to work out. Like, we all have full-time jobs.
Now let's go to a more interesting one where actually wasn't a Warren
led investigation.
Yeah, it wasn't. They got involved later on and actually had positive results, which is weird. So this is one. This one is the one that's close to mine and Dean's heart. Is the Werewolf of Southend.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
I haven't heard about this.
So this one.
Yikes!
So this is the whole story of the Werewolf of Southend is.
Fuck me, you done your digging for this, dude. Jeez.
Far removed from the Warrens for quite a long time. They get involved at the end of like what happens to Bill Ramsey. So basically, there's a guy called Bill Ramsey, and if any of you have ever been to any kind of natural history museum, not in London, but in say you've been to the King's Lynn National History Museum, you'll see an exhibit of Neanderthals or prehistoric man, and that is what Bill Ramsey looks like. He looks like a statue of prehistoric man. But he's from Southend-on-Sea, where me and Dean, well, Dean's from near Southend-on-Sea, but I'm
relatively close. Yeah.
And if you're from America, I'm near from Southend-on-Sea.
Yeah.
Great joke.
Yeah, in America, JJ is in the next town over.
He is, yeah.
It's only a nice 4-hour drive.
Yeah,
I'm really interested in this.
In England, he's fucking miles away. Right.
Yeah.
Bill Ramsey was born and raised in Essex in the seaside town of Southend-on-Sea. Home of the largest pier in the world, by the way.
It is, yeah, in actual fact.
And also the swimming pool where Ian Jury got the polio that left him disfigured for life. Anyway, moving away from...
I thought he was the guy who killed those 2 girls.
No, that's Ian Huntley.
Different guy.
Yeah.
Ian Jury called
that was in a bath, wasn't it? Not
in Warrior Square.
Yeah, that's where I used to go swimming as a kid.
He got it at Warrior Square. That's hilarious. It's a local swimming pool in Southend.
So Ian Jury got polio, and this guy turned into a werewolf.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with that fucking swimming pool, man. You need to change the water.
It's gone now. It's a skate park.
What, the water? So they're just like, well, I know what we could do. Drain the water, make it into a skate park. Easy money.
Loads of money.
Love dropping in.
Yeah.
Ramsey, sorry, go ahead.
So anyway, his childhood would seem mostly normal until at the age of 9, a sudden rage came upon him.
Rage.
Oh, God.
And seriously, this is what he says. This is Ramsey's account, not the Warrens. Ramsey pulled out, a concrete fence panel, a concrete fence post that was concrete into ground, ripped it out of the ground and smashed it to pieces at the age of 9.
What? No.
Yeah. This is of his own. This is his own words. He's mum and dad snapped him out of this trance, and he was normal for years after that. Nothing happened, and he said that it always plagued him, like what happened that day. Anyway, fast forward to like.
What year did this happen?
When he was 9, 1952.
Fuck it. I'm still like amazed that and this guy actually went through an exorcism. Is that correct?
Eventually,
I thought you were about to say, Dean, it's like, I'm just trying to work it out. Like, I've wondered why I've been able to do this all my life, and now I know. I went swimming in that pool.
I got polio.
I got one of the lucky genes. I didn't get polio. I've got superhuman strength.
Yeah, we went both ways. You either got a disability or an ability.
Yeah.
So for 15 years, nothing happened to Bill. Bill was normal for 15 years. He had a wife. I think he had a kid.
Okay.
But one night he awoke in a cold sweat and was overwhelmed by feelings of dread and unease because in that nightmare, he saw himself as a wolf.
What? He saw himself as a wolf.
Crash zoom. Wolf. Yeah.
Crash
But he's
zoom.
all right now.
Hey!
Hey.
He said it.
Very droll.
So he woke up saying that he had visions of himself being
as a wolf, and then that became a recurring dream for 18 months.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So he's got mental issues. He has mental health issues, and this was in the 50s. Did you say?
No, well, we'd fast forwarded to 1967 now when he starts having these dreams.
So yeah, it's like late 60s, early 70s, and fucking wow.
and then so nothing happens again. A lull in his werewolf activity.
Okay.
And he's out in the pub with his mates, 1983, so 2 years before our birth, before we walked the planks of the pier.
The planks of Southend Pier.
Yeah. Bill and his mates were in a local pub, and after several drinks, Bill began to feel the icy chills that first manifested earlier in his life.
After a few Stellas, of course.
He made the excuse and headed to the lavatory. Once there, he checked himself in the mirror, and he saw a wolf looking back at him.
Of course he did.
Jeez Louise!
I was going to say, what Orabag pub was he drinking in?
And his dad knocked on the door, and he opened his door, and his dad was a werewolf as well. And Bill...
No, hold on. You're having a fucking laugh.
That's the plot of Teen Wolf.
Yeah, right, there we go. I was about to say, no, come on now. We're going a bit off the beaten trail here.
He saw a wolf looking back at him, and then he snapped out of it. He went back to sit with his mates, and then they decided to get in the car and go home. But without any warning, Bill flew into a ferocious rage, and he began to growl and turn his lips up to reveal his teeth like a wolf.
Oh God!
And his hands twisted into claws, and Bill bit his mate on the leg.
Of course,
This literally does just sound like a weekend. How I imagine a weekend at your local pub, Ben. Like,
I was going to say,
this is what it was like when you came to York. Like, this is how it felt to me. And my mate, his claws turned into shovels.
They kicked him out. Eventually, they kicked him out. They got out of the car. He calmed down, and he calmed down, and they forgot about it until shortly before, another 18 months later, shortly before Christmas 1980. Wait a minute.
This is like every gig I've ever played with Ollie. Every tour I've ever been on with Ollie.
Yeah.
He's like this all the time, and then every morning he's fine.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Full moon.
ah!
Bill begins to suffer chest pains in 1984, just before Christmas, and he takes himself down to the local hospital, Southend A&E, I'd assume, or Rochford Hospital at the time, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Then became a mental asylum after I was born there.
It did. Ben sent them up the fucking Swanee. Everyone.
I like the way I went after I was born there. Of course, nothing to do with while I was born there.
Yeah.
No.
So Bill checks himself in. He's having heart pains. Ooh, me heart.
Ooh.
I think I'm having a heart attack. Help me. So they strap him to a gurney, and they put him in a room. And
that's not someone who's done ecstasy, is it?
Yeah. Anyway, the nurses are looking after him. They're taking as she goes to take his blood pressure, he bites down on her, And she screams, and they try and fight him off. Policeman comes in. Obviously, Southend Hospital. There's police everywhere all the time. Like it's not unheard of to have a lot of police there. Police come in there, and he can't get him off him. He tries to get some handcuffs on him. He's fighting off the policeman, and eventually they stick the tranquilizer in him, and he passes out. Put handcuffs on him. The following morning,
and at this point, he's still human. Like he's still physically human.
He'd hunched over, and like he'd started almost like acting like a wolf. Like.
How have we never heard of this?
Yeah, but the tranquilizer finally.
This is his fan story. This is like the person who saw Twilight once and then
this is all in
Ben
the
Mills fan fiction.
It's all in the newspaper. Like the newspaper clippings of the Sun and stuff all over.
Yeah, I can see it here.
Are you in front of one of those things where you press it and it goes?
Yeah, well,
like at the library.
Yeah,
I found it at the Southend Sea Fair.
Right,
the story of the Wolfman.
After a hearty breakfast and a doctor's visit, he is let go of his own cognition. But yeah, he goes and it's fine.
And then he's fine.
He's fine for a little bit, and then in January the next year, January 1985, Bill had to visit his mother when he began to feel an attack coming on.
Okay, this guy just sounds like he can't handle his coke.
He goes to the hospital, and obviously now they know this guy, so they check him in. But the nurse is very like wary of him.
Hey, wary, eh? Hey. A bit wary of him.
Yeah, look, I'm trying to tell a serious story here. Come on. So the nurse was not happy with being in the room by him, so she was kind of a bit nervous, and like she could see him start tensing up. And his shoulders are hunched, and his hands become like claws, and his teeth. And he starts growling at her, and she goes to open the door, and he pounces.
Just looks like he's pulling a fucking scene photo.
A policeman comes in, and literally, Bill threw this policeman out of the room, and he jumped like a wolf. He jumps out like a wolf, and 4 police officers have to pull him off this. Like, bear in mind, Bill is 5'9" and 140 pounds.
He's still taller than me.
Yeah, and still heavier than me.
All right, okay, so he's smaller than me. All right. But still, it takes 4 coppers to get him off him, and it takes 2 lots of tranquilizer to knock him out.
What year was this?
1985. Year I was born.
No, I'm not having it. There is no werewolf of Southend.
Wait.
All right. Okay, go on.
They take him into a police car. He goes to the cells for a couple of nights. But again, he's back in control. Like after it wears off in the morning, and rational, they let him go.
Crufts have taken him back in.
Bear in mind,
he's calmed down.
He's hospitalised a police officer. But they've let him go. And you can. I'll put the links to this video in the
Discord.
In the Discord. But this is a video with Bill talking about the night. And then after that, right, it's all fine for a couple of years. It's two years, no werewolf activity. 1986, no werewolf activity. 1987, some werewolf activity.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you all about it now. In the summer, he was back at the police station, but he wasn't taken to the police station. He took a prostitute to the police station.
And it was Annabelle. Spreading her ways.
He'd made a citizen's arrest. On a prostitute, and he was demanding that the police did something about it. So he went in. He goes in there, and the police are like shouting at him in the yard, going, "You can't do this. What are you on about?"
Come here, boy.
He then transforms into this werewolf-like character.
Go, gadget dog.
And he says to the. Oh no, it's not on this case. Or maybe he didn't actually.
No.
Oh no, he did say it because it's the policeman in this video that I've put in there says that he goes, "I've got the devil in me, and you won't like me when I've got the devil in me," which is obviously what the Incredible Hulk says pretty much.
Yeah.
You don't like me.
You don't like me when I'm angry.
And then, right, the Bill jumps on the police officer and tries to eat him. Right, and it takes another load of police officers to get him off him. He was going berserk, absolutely berserk. Like they couldn't.
And this
get
is
him
in
out.
Southend Police Station.
This is it. Yeah, in the courtyard bit, in the yard where they take you in. Right.
I don't know. I've never been taken in there, Ben.
Oh, I've never been taken in there, but I've been in that yard.
Oh, yeah.
I took a prostitute in there once.
So yeah, he was getting. He was in hospital for 10 days. He had MRIs, he had X-rays, psychiatric tests, and they could not determine anything like wrong with him. Like there was no real, like nothing wrong with him. It was just like these events would end and then he would go back to normal.
And like,
So
this is bombastic as it is. So
And meanwhile, just to cut in, cut to the new scene. Ed and Lorraine Warren are outside the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
They've been in their car for 3 weeks drawing this hospital. And then
Parking
just in the
tickets flying
background,
off everywhere.
there's a guy like,
Do you wanna hear? Right. So he's gone into hospital. Right. They don't know what's going on with
there's
him.
nothing wrong with him. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. They don't know what's happening.
he hasn't got polio.
So do you want to know how Lorraine Warren?
Yeah,
found
of
out?
course.
Yeah, I'd love to.
They were watching. They were at their friend's house in London after visiting Borley Rectory,
Oh,
the most haunted place in England.
on Earth at one point, allegedly,
Yeah.
as well.
They visit there every year. They used to visit there every year. They loved it, absolutely loved it. And
Of course they did. Give us the powers, Borley.
they were watching the news, and the story of Bill Ramsey, the Southend-on-Sea werewolf, was on the news.
Oh God, of course. Like, Lorraine, you hear that? Why, yes, I do, Ed.
So they were really interested in it. Well,
Oh.
Ed was not interested.
Oh,
in
of
the
course
story.
he was.
Ed
We ain't
wasn't.
got werewolf on our list here, girl. Let's get down there.
Ed wanted nothing to do with it. He was like, "This is stupid."
Nah, bullshit.
And Lorraine
Oh,
said that.
that's stupid. Oh, imaginative werewolves. Pff,
Yeah,
pull
so
the
he
other
didn't
one.
want anything to do with it. And Ed said Lorraine was like, she couldn't shake this story. So they flew back.
Give
to
me demonic
Connecticut.
spectres any day of the
They'd
week.
flown back to Connecticut, and Lorraine could not shake this story whatsoever. She was really interested in it. And eventually, they flew to, for some reason, they flew to LA to get in touch with the production company.
No, they didn't. They need new management. Like, we're in London. We need to get to Southend-on-Sea. That
So
can't
why-
be true. That
why
must
did
be.
they-
This is one of the this is the story.
The
that they
account.
tell. This is the account at the.
Whoa! Hang on a second. When was American Werewolf in London made?
Yeah,
this is
I've been
1986.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I'm leading to 1975, I think that was. 1976.
This is the 87.
No, I know, but when was Werewolf in London created?
Oh yeah,
Like
60,
19
70,
yeah.
60 something. Yeah.
This is why Ed. This is straight away why Ed was just like,
was on it. Yeah, of course he
we
was.
can't capitalise on that. They've already made
No.
a film about it.
American Werewolf in London was 81.
Ah.
Yeah.
Closer.
So
But
Ed's just
closer.
like, Lorraine, shut up. I know you believe in all that fucking hocus pocus bullshit, but Hollywood isn't going to buy that. There's already been a fucking wolf
Yeah.
movie this year.
Well,
Southend Werewolf.
The Conjuring 3 is going to be the Southend Werewolf.
No way.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. I
No,
know it
it-
isn't. The
no,
Conjuring.
apparently
Nah, the Conjuring
So-
3 is the Devil Made Me Do It one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I heard that they were going to do the Southend Werewolf. Maybe it'll
I
be
reckon
it'll be
what
the
might
beginning.
happen was it'll begin with the
Yeah.
Southend Werewolf, yeah, and then they'll be like, oh no, we've got more pressing matters.
Oh,
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
they
the-
flew to
the-
LA and they were like,
timeline-
here we go.
And do you know what? The timelines sync up with either it to open with a werewolf or close with a werewolf as like a little hint to the full film.
I think
yeah.
opening with the werewolf would be sick because everyone would be like, oh yeah, a werewolf.
So
I can't wait to see
In-
how like inaccurate Southend looks in Hollywood.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the way
Well, they've
the
used
way
it a few
Canvey.
times. They used it for Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, they did in
Yeah.
actual fact. But
It'll
my
just be
point
like what
was-
they do with every English film. They'll put a shitty greeny blue filter over it
Yeah,
and make it look
the
grim
s-
as fuck.
exactly what they did with
Like the new Batman
what
film's
was it?
going to be, even though it's
The-
filmed in fucking Manchester or Liverpool.
the Rettendon Range Rover
Yeah.
murders. What was the film that they created?
Essex Boys.
Essex Boys. That shot of the driver like being on like Canvey Island. It was like there are no stilted houses on Canvey.
That was
It's
Jaywick,
like-
wasn't it?
it was like they were trying to portray us living in a fucking swamp or something. I was just
They were
like,
a good set of films, though. They were
oh,
really
good set of films. Yeah,
I
right.
I mean, I've
Back
seen
to
that
level.
scene about a million times. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're in. So Ed and Lorraine's convinced Ed to get involved. So they come to Southend.
So they're in Southend Central with their suitcases, just about to go to the Royal Hotel to book themselves in.
I think they came into Southend Victoria.
Oh, right, okay.
So yeah, she managed to get in contact with Bill, and she came to meet him, and they came to Southend to meet Bill, which is amazing that they were here. That is crazy.
That's fucking awesome. That is pretty dope.
She convinced Bill to come to Connecticut.
What?
Yeah, so he...
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Put a werewolf on a fucking plane.
Werewolves on a plane.
Buy a werewolf a plane ticket. Samuel L. Jackson's like, what, on a plane?
Yeah.
They just put him in a kennel underneath.
Now let's look at it from an Ed and Lorraine Warren perspective. Surely that they would be in belief of Bill's claims that he is a werewolf. And as JJ just mentioned, surely someone must have sarcastically sat there and said, Mr. and Mrs. Lorraine, don't you think it's a bad idea to bring a werewolf on a plane? Because then you're kind of putting the ball in their court, aren't you? Like, is it dangerous or isn't it?
Oh my God.
Are you flaking or are you going by your guns? Because that to me would be an instant like get the fuck out of here sort of thing.
Do you want to know how what tabloid newspaper do you reckon sponsored the trip?
Daily Star, of course they did.
No, the People. The People. It's gone now, I think. The People.
Oh really? Oh yeah. Right, yeah. I would have said the Daily Star.
Right,
the people that Freddie Starr ate my hamster people.
Yeah.
Is that the same one who did Gordon Ramsay lookalike found in Badger Den?
With
his pants down.
Yeah. But also, the Daily Star had
on next week's conspiracy podcast.
The Daily Star had a really good front cover today of free council tax avoidance mask with a cutout of Dominic Cummings.
Right. I didn't get the reference, but yeah, I saw it. Yeah. We don't get the People up here.
No, it was the Daily Star today.
Star, yeah.
So the night before the exorcism was due to take place, Ramsay tried to strangle his wife while she slept.
Oh God! Wow, you can't take him on a plane now.
Before. Well, I'm not going to get to that. We'll get to the end of this first before we think what actually was probably wrong with Bill. So when
he swam in that pool.
When the exorcism actually began, Bill was not at all impressed. The service was being conducted in Latin, and for half an hour, nothing happened. Bill then took on an entirely different appearance. His face contorted, both hands formed claws, and as McKenna commanded the demon to leave, the full force of werewolf fury descended on McKenna one time and then disappeared for good. The whole event was recorded.
And QVC hypnotist Paul McKenna. And now you can wake up. No, wake up now. Wake up.
Bill Ramsay last appeared in 1992 in public, where he spoke on camera and he said that he has not felt the werewolf presence in him since that night of the exorcism.
So it worked. He just really didn't want to go to Connecticut, did he?
He was just like, he went and
I'm getting on no fucking plane, not no fucking foreigners speaking to me in fucking Latin. What the fuck is that?
He went, he was exorcised, and now there's no more werewolf in Southend.
Oh, what a fucking surprise.
Oh, what a letdown.
Yeah, so Ed wasn't interested for a long time until he could claim it was a demon, not a werewolf. So as soon as Ed was like, this looks more like a demon possession rather than a werewolf.
Just mention I'm a demonologist.
Demons is my thing.
Yeah, just so happens. Oh, look at my card.
We're all going on a summer holiday to Southend-on-Sea, the home of the longest pleasure pier in the world.
Pleasure pier.
Yeah.
That's what it's funny because that's what he said about Annabelle.
Yeah.
That's what Lou said about him.
We went to see Father Christmas at the end of the pier last year, and he was the sleaziest, worst paedophile Santa ever. Is
there some sort of clause with that pier? Like it's that far out at sea that it's not actually on land, so you can do what you want down there.
Probably, yeah. You have to get a train. You have to get a train to the end.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's true. It's good. Me and Marlo used to walk it to get over our hangovers when we lived together. So let's do the walk. It's like a 3.5 mile round trip to the end and back.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fucking further than it is for me to walk to work and back.
Yeah.
That's insane.
The longest pleasure pier in the world.
So you and Marla used to go to the end and then come back.
Just turn around and come back.
Just turn around.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think of the South End Werewolf, guys?
I think the guy just had.
It's true. You're right. Yes.
Yeah. I reckon he was a werewolf. But no, it's like clearly it's just. I don't know. He was having a midlife crisis or something. Fuck knows. Like mentally unstable.
I think panic attacks.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind betting that.
He sounds like an alcoholic. Like he sounds like somebody who can't handle his drink very well. But was it you who showed me the picture of the guy in the mobility scooter dressed as a clown with all the balloons? Ben? No, never mind then. Forget that. Yeah. Also forgot that it was in the middle of a park.
So that's, of course, as well, one of the Warrens' case that they claim they were a part of, which they were hardly a part of,
well,
really.
They cured the man.
Well, no.
So while we're on that subject, should we talk about the Enfield murders? And we're going completely off fucking tangent.
The Enfield podcast. I have to apologise.
The poltergeist.
I have to apologise to you, JJ, because I was oblivious to the Warrens being involved in this, and this is
less than a day.
Yeah, well, this is it. This is what I'm saying about their involvement in it. It was
because I'm pretty clued up with the Enfield haunting, but like I remember I've read through that like countless times from countless sources, and I would say out of probably 9 times out of 10 of anything that I'd looked at, not once were the Warrens even mentioned.
I
sorry, Ben. Going on to that paranormal book that we bought, that we all had.
Oh, the Encyclopedia of the Unknown.
That was what got me onto the idea of poltergeist, was seeing that girl in the red dress being thrown across the room.
Janet from the Enfield.
She's quite easily just jumping and moving, like like. But also doing the werewolf face, which might have been. They were like, "No, be more angry, like a werewolf."
I'm Bill Wilkins, or whatever his fucking name is.
Go out. But anyway,
Bill Wilkins. I'm Bill Wilkins.
Have you got that book there, Ben? I think I can see it on your shelf.
Yeah. I died of a brain hemorrhage in the corner.
In the corner. So I think we should talk about that, and then obviously we need to speak about the Amityville ones, and then maybe just go on to like the couple of wild cards, because the thing with the Enfield one was this was what first got me into the idea that there was something that I couldn't see that could throw shit at me and throw me around, like because this is the book that I saw it in.
Yeah,
if it's presuming it's the same.
I literally just opened it on that section.
I don't think they say. I mean, the last time I saw that book was probably about 20 years ago, but I don't think they say anything about the Warrens in that book.
No,
because apparently they swooped in on it. They said, didn't they? I don't know the main narrative, but this is how I believed it was. They swooped in, said there was nothing to worry about, and then they were driving away like they do in the Hollywood film, and then all of a sudden, he worked this thing out in his brain, and they had to drive back.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, in the Enfield movie, she's on the train and she figures something out, and they get off the train. And go back.
But I'll let Ben go because
the 2-minute drive away and the 10-minute drive back. You mean?
Yeah.
There's a horrible one-way system in Enfield. That's where they got.
Yeah. Right, I mean that's why the spirits are so angry. They're like, get out now because it will take hours to get back.
It's rush hour and the schools are just kicking out.
Yeah.
Any of the films or TV shows about, like, remember there was that Enfield haunting on Sky.
The Michael,
which was great.
That one with what's his name?
Timothy Spall.
Timothy Spall. That was phenomenal.
Who's got a really long fingernail, by the way. Every time you watch a film with Timothy Spall, look out for his long fingernail. Same as Denzel Washington's little broken finger.
And to all those parents out there, look at Mr. Tumble's fingernails. They're really long as well.
Oh,
Megan Fox
because all the children's skin underneath it.
She's got
Megan Fox got dodgy thumb. Toe thumb.
Has she?
Oh yeah.
It's like a frog's foot, isn't it?
It's
well,
like
it hasn't got 3 separate bits coming off it. But
you'd have to sit there, and before, if she was coming on there, you'd have to look at the hand and go,
Right, remember the
This is why Lou liked Annabelle that much, because he was like, she's got no features. She's just got one little stump with 3 stitches down to simulate fingers.
Oh God.
Yeah,
yeah.
So they're not in any other accounts of.
No, they're not. Yeah,
apart from their own.
And I would have anticipated possibly the TV show, because that was quite fairly high budgeted as well. I felt like that was a very, very good TV movie. Very good.
Also, was the film Lights Out with the guy from London's Burning, was that based on the Enfield Murders?
Murder?
Sorry, I keep saying murders. I mean, Haunted.
I don't think so. I don't think that was based on.
There was a film where they were in like a semi-detached on the end of a council estate, and it was the guy from London's Burning. I'm pretty sure it was called Lights Out. It's set in Britain, but obviously in the Enfield story, there was no father involved. But this is where me and you were talking, Dean, about the Black Friar thing, which was set in Yorkshire. So I don't know if that's the same.
Right.
The reason that the Warrens aren't in any account or any films that aren't funded by them,
the Warrens,
or the Warrens, or the production
companies, or Sapiro, whatever it's called.
Yeah, or any production companies involved with the Warrens, is because they showed up on the day and were refused entry because they showed up unannounced, uninvited, and just told to go away. So I reckon they were probably in the country already and just thought let's go and throw our
let's see if we can
in a very American kind of way,
Wild West sort of thing. Yeah, just like saloon doors.
We're Americans.
We're the Warrens.
Yeah.
Are you ready to get exercised?
Yeah. So I think. Let's just ignore any involvement of the Warrens in Enfield Horton, because they had no say. They had nothing.
And it was funny as well, because Ed sits there and says that some of the paranormal experiences that occurred while they were there in the house were some of the most what was it he said? Was some of the strongest that they had both ever felt. So it's almost like they're like, well, oh crap, we've got to listen to them now because they said this, even though they were there for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just testament again to them just making shit up.
That's been categorically disproven by people going through the archives and looking at all the old footage of it. Was the 2 little girls just fucking about.
Yeah, even
they got caught banging brooms on the walls.
Yeah, and Janet,
and jumping on the bed and taking pictures.
Janet in 2014 in an interview, she said some elements her and her sister like played up to it, like countless times.
One of the things that I read about it or heard about it, you
would, wouldn't you? If you were a kid and you were getting all that attention from the news and stuff,
of course you would. You'd amp it up.
This is working.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, no, in the actual dramatisation, they were like, she was getting beaten up, wasn't she, for being in the paper, like, you can't be famous, and then beat her up.
Right, at school and all stuff like that.
One of the things that they were saying was that, I don't know actually if this happened, this might be the film, this is the problem when it spills into reality, was that they were saying that it wasn't until the Warrens came there and said to one of the guys, have you tried this? So apparently they, again, lurked around for a bit in the car outside. Ed's just drawing pictures of the house, like, this is a shit house. Yeah. And then they suggested something to one of the guys. And then they took on board what they said. And then that's where that story of the 2 tapes coming together came from. You know, like listening to a Tool album, when you put all 3 on at once and it, actually makes a good song, rather than just... 3 shit songs. That never happened.
3 times worse.
Sorry, Maynard. You're a great guy, I guess. But yeah, that's what that idea of that came from there, apparently.
But I don't think...
So those girls in all the dramatizations were saying that they were playing up because they were trying to... The demon or whatever was trying to make them seem... like adolescent, so that the people would go, oh, fuck these guys, they're just taking the piss. Like, they're just jokers. So, because the Enfield Horror is, worldwide famous. So that's a big, big kid. For me, that's the first mainstream paranormal case.
Mine too, Yeah.
You know, that's the one that everybody like referred to, and it was in national newspapers on the front page.
Yeah, and it
wasn't the start.
And it was a very big episode that I remember, if it ever aired on Strange But True. I remember that episode when that aired, scaring the absolute living fuck out of me. And it was purely where Michael Aspel sits there and he says, like, oh, people talk about evidence never being available, whereas this is a case that holds some like hard evidence and that. And the scene where they just have the tape recorder and they've made it look like the kitchen that their kitchen looked like. Yeah. They've darkened all the lights down and you've just got this like dictaphone playing, and it's obviously Janet talking in her possessed voice like that. And I remember as a kid being like,
there's footage. There is footage of that now, though, isn't there? There is like they've developed old tapes of it, and it's on YouTube.
Yeah,
and
it's everywhere. It's just a girl doing.
I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, but they're saying like on a few of the other podcasts that I listen to, they were saying like it would be hard for a young girl of that age to do that voice for such a long time. Yeah, and not have like.
Also, she was like a keen ventriloquist, apparently. She was really good.
Or was that from Ed? Was that from Ed, though? No, you like dolls, don't you?
I was going to say, this sounds like the worst casting agency in the world. Like, I've got this doll, right? She's a bit beaten up now. She's got a few. She's been dragged around a little bit.
Ignore that. Ignore that hole there.
You can do old men's voices without moving your lips. How about you make the voice of Annabelle? That's fucking great. And the doll, like, Ed's got his hand up the fucking torn orifice of Annabelle, just like, no worries, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And he sells that idea to James Wan, and James Wan's like, yeah, let's do Annabelle. Sounds great.
Let's run with that. Awesome. And here we are.
Yeah, most skeptics say that none of it is beyond the capabilities of an imaginative teenager.
But then you had those two police officers that sat there and they were like, we physically watched the chair move across the room, like on its own. Like,
yeah, but you see what you want to see, didn't you?
Yeah. I
don't like our podcast anymore because it's making Ben. It's making Ben like, yeah, none of it's real. What are we going to talk about next time? I don't believe in any of it anymore.
Right, from now on, right, this is what we'll do. I won't research it, and then I won't be able to call bullshit on it.
Because that means I have to do research, and I don't like that. As soon as I
research it, I go, oh, okay, I'm too practically minded. I'm going to go, oh, yeah, it makes total sense.
So we won't, let's
it all makes sense. It's not fun anymore.
Let's not hang around. Considering that they barely featured in the Enfield Poltergeist,
I wasn't even going to bring it up.
Well, yeah, I think it's good that you did because I wasn't aware of them being there, and I guess this is just still growing testament to me being me.
That's why I said let's talk about that and get it out of the way because the problem was like
so more evidence,
like the werewolf of. Let's be honest, anything the fucking Warrens did in England, it was bullshit. Not what they did in England. The werewolf was real, but they were bullshit.
So what have we got now?
We should probably because we're nearly into 2 hours. We should do The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the one where you know what the Warrens are the worst. Like
Can we briefly skim over Amityville and the other haunted houses?
You want to go deep on this one, do you?
Because I've got The Devil Made Me Do It and reasons to not be on the Warren side, and also the Snedker family to do with the haunting in Connecticut. So I've still got two to sort of focus on that are kind of rebuttals against their claims. But
Amityville was for me that so. In America, I would say Amityville is the Enfield. Like the Enfield in America, like everybody. So I've been to Amityville House. It's
nice.
Fucking, and I don't know if it's because it's been built up in my brain. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Really?
Really?
Ooh.
So do you want to explain the Amityville thing, and I'll explain when.
I don't really know. I've always ignored Amityville because it's obviously
There was barely any evidence for it.
Yeah. No,
I'm going to say that just the narrative off the top of my brain.
I've seen all 28 films.
Right, so the Amityville house is a house in Long Island. Amityville is, if anyone's been to Long Island, if you haven't been to Long Island is a rich place. So it's like all on Long Island, most of it is really nice. Basically, the Long Island Railroad runs all the way to the end of Long Island, Montauk. The further away you get from the railroad, the cheaper the houses get. Amityville house is literally on the lake. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So in I want to say 74 or 5.
Okay.
A family called the Lutzes got a steal on it apparently, or they got the house and it was like a perfect idyllic house. I don't know if they just built there. I don't know. Whatever.
The Lutz is the ones that moved in second.
Who was the first? The Defoes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you have the narrative? Do you have it there? Like, because it's probably
no. I've just heard it a lot over the last 2 weeks.
Right.
So,
okay.
What's his name? Matt or whatever his name is. The son. He was a son of there was 3 kids and he was one of them. 3 boys and the mum and dad. He basically shot and killed his mum and dad and his brothers in cold blood while they're with a rifle that wasn't silenced but didn't wake anyone in the house.
Didn't wake anyone in the house.
And no one heard any of the shots.
The fuck?
So I think it was silenced.
They found the gun though, didn't they? They found the gun.
Yeah.
But again, you live next to a massive river. Well, a lake. So for one, and also, why didn't you just throw the gun in the river? But 2,
it probably wasn't the murder weapon. Like, it's just Americans are just like, the police are like in America, they just go, yeah, that happened, that's it, draw a line under it.
Yeah.
We've all seen.
So he runs to a local bar and claims that he's come back and all his family are dead. Right. I thought it was the dad. I thought it was the dad, but maybe it's because of the Hollywood version in my head. I don't know. He runs to a bar and then it later turns out that it was him who'd done it or him who got convicted of it. And then that all passes, and then years later, the Lutzes move. Yeah, exactly, Ben. This is it. I do 0 research. I just want to watch it.
I think it's like 12 months, 13 months later, the Lutzes buy the house, and
they get steal on it because it's cheap. Because 6 people have just been murdered in it.
Yeah. They move in and they instantly start feeling shit. But on the day they're moving in, a priest visits the house and he blesses the house and he goes upstairs into the top bedroom. And as he's blessing that room, he hears a voice saying, "Get out!" So he goes downstairs and he says to the family, I've just heard a voice saying, "Get out." No, he doesn't. He doesn't say that. He says, don't let anyone
come in.
Yeah, don't let anyone sleep in that upstairs bedroom. So they don't. They make it a sewing room or something. And then for the next month, they feel like they have loads of crap going on. Lutz Senior, the dad, he lets his hygiene go to hell. He's not cleaning his dick. He's growing a beard.
And if anyone's seen the film, like, it's Ryan Reynolds, and he's just like, not the old film. The old film is one of the
recent remake,
the Brolin brothers, the Brolin dad in it, but the new film's Ryan Reynolds, and like Ben says, he's like smelly and basically just
it's non-handsome.
It's my life, but my
nothing like what Ryan Reynolds actually looks like.
Yeah. a month of hauntings, and eventually they leave.
They pack up shop and they're like, we're done.
And then they get the Warrens. The Warrens swoop in.
Oh, of course they do.
Yeah, so they weren't involved when the Lutz lived there at all.
It took them a while to paint, didn't it? So,
they
on a boat on the river.
It's a big house.
Yeah, so they get involved, and that's about it, really.
Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
The lawyer for the guy who did all the killings in the thing, he met with the Lutzes before they moved in, and apparently they got really drunk together, and they all came up with the stories that they were going to tell.
Yeah, that's what
they bought the house to cash in on it, because I think what had happened something had been going on that they saw it happen. Like there'd been a lot of these hauntings around America at the time, and that they sort of moved in and started thinking that how they could make money on it.
Yeah. Then because I remember that, like, some of the research and like rebuttals I've been trying to find for each of like the cases, like the main ones and stuff. The Amityville, considering how fucking famous it is, like barely any evidence. Oh, that one photo of that face that's allegedly that child peering out of the doorway.
It's not. It's
or
a
something.
bloke was. They were obviously they were doing a press day there, and that's a bloke going, "Oh shit, take a picture," and he bent back.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Like that to me, it's a situation like, what's that ranch in fucking Skinwalker Ranch?
Oh,
all
no,
these
no,
like,
no.
this stuff's happening there, and there's like barely any physical evidence of anything.
But I totally believe everything about Skinwalker Ranch. That is the
but it's because you haven't done the research yet, man.
I'm just listening to people.
But like that's what it feels like with the Amityville Horror. This guy claims someone else did it, whereas he actually did it, and there's nothing else to it.
Times as well.
It's just the typical like horror or haunted house thing, as far as I'm concerned. That's what it just comes across to me. Like, oh look, it's infamous, and we've had these two whack jobs turn up, so
right, okay,
must be legitimate.
Here we go.
When I went there, right, I surprised my pal who's actually got a tattoo studio in South. It's called South Shore, and it's in Amityville.
Oh,
and I went there, surprised him, and I was talking to this guy, and I was just like, "Oh, before I go, I really want to see the Amityville house." And he was just like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "What have you heard about it?" And I don't know, like it wasn't Mikey who I was speaking to, but the guy who I was speaking to, I don't think they understand how worldwide that place is. Like the place is Amityville. So the only reason I stopped, I was going to Montauk because I really love Eternal Sunshine, and I saw the Amityville sign. I was like, gotta go there, aren't I? And then as I got off the train, I was like, fucking hell, I forgot. My friend Mike's got a tattoo studio here. Like it wasn't even like a thought. It was just like, I'm going to go see the Amityville house. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm going to go see Mike. Went and saw Mike sitting there all day with him. And then their apprentice at the time, I think he was called Jesse. He was like big stoner. He was just like, I'll take you to the Amityville house before you go back if you want, because he'd heard me speaking about it. Sure. And he literally he pulled up on the other side of the road. And I was just like, oh, and in my mind, like, you know when you're having that chat with somebody and it's just there's just nothing like there. And then I was just like, when I came, like I went out to see the house and I looked around and there's like now big like conifers or whatever around the house. You can see the boathouse. The boathouse is still there, which is fucking terrifying. Yeah, so you can see the house that they used in a lot of like the promo stuff. And you see it at the end of the thing, and it was nighttime. You could see the light on the lake and stuff. It was fucking terrifying. And I don't know if it was terrifying because of the things I've built up in my brain, but which then does tie into like the Lutz's family who moved in. So they'll have heard stories about what happened there.
Right,
and, they knew why they were getting the house cheap. Like, I don't care what
emotions would elevate.
But you'd already knew that in your head.
Yes.
So in my mind, because of all of Hollywood and everything, I saw the house and you see it and it's got that like kind of old barn look to it, and it's got the circle window
with the two
and the
looking
eyes.
windows. Yeah.
And you can see that just from the drive. So anyway, you can't, the guy said to me, he was like, oh, you can walk down and knock on the door if you want to chat to him. I don't mind hanging around for you. And I was just like, nah, I don't want to do that.
Nah, I ain't doing that.
Even though I would have, now I would fucking love to do it.
Yeah.
Got back in the car and I was just like, oh, like, it was just really strange for me because he was on the side of the road that the house was on. Like, it's something that I like. On the train back, I was like, he went out of his way to park on the other side of the road. And I just asked him, I was like, why did you park there? Yeah. And he was just like, man, nobody fucks with this shit. And and it was like this really like awkward drive backwards. And back to the train station, the metro, but he didn't turn around. He just went around the one-way system. Well, not the one-way system, but he
just did not want to go near the house.
And I asked him about it, and I said, like, do you get loads of tourists around here? He was like, honestly, dude, like, we don't get anybody here anymore. Like, it's weird. And he said, do you know what the weirdest part about it is? One of the latest owners, so this was in 2012, I went.
Yep.
He said, because I got tattooed there, by the way, just to shout to my friend Mike at South Shore. He said, look at Ben's face. He said that the latest owners had knocked the house completely down and rebuilt it, but slightly on another angle to face, like, I don't want to say Mecca, but to face a more religious. So the house isn't the original house; it's slightly. But
I never knew that.
I don't know if that's an urban legend to make the new people feel comfortable in the house.
Okay, yeah.
So I haven't researched it, and it's just like
That's
I say with
really
all these
interesting.
things. But he said they built the house. They knocked it down and built it all exactly the same, but slightly on a hill.
And it's funny. Sorry,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's any truth to that, but he said that he'd heard that from like the girl who owns. So the people who own it now are from, like, he said, out west. So like, obviously out west, it could be anywhere. It's fucking Long Island.
Yeah, exactly.
But he said that the daughter comes, or the niece comes and gets tattooed at South Shore, and she said, yeah, they've renovated it, knocked it down, and moved it all slightly to the same build to fit in with the rest of the houses.
Yeah.
So I was like, that much superstition there has created essentially somebody to get a cheap house and then have to completely rebuild the fucking thing.
Yeah, and it's funny that you do mention how sometimes those, like, I guess, like, past history of it can, like, elevate emotions and create certain things. Maybe like when I was working in Texas, I know it's not precisely the same thing, but when I went and visited the Dealey Plaza where JFK had been shot, like, it's weird. Like, it's an unsettling area just because of something that has occurred there, like, in the past. So this new family, where barely any of this evidence, as far as I'm concerned, it's just that to me just sounds like a family that are just going through some issues.
Have you guys watched?
He's not hygienically looking after himself. Oh, it's got to be a ghost. It's got to be a demon.
No, the Lutz thing was purely like they fabricated the whole thing. They planned.
Yeah.
They planned.
Yeah.
It. Like, it was all planned out. And
But do you not find what we were talking about before? This is where, like, when I was talking about the willing thing,
right.
It's changed somebody's history. Like, it's changed, and the idea and the concepts. So, for instance, there's a new show on Netflix. Everyone's talking about Bly Manor. I watch it. It's amazing. It's very slow, but when it gets there, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It builds the concept of willing and memory, and it's like when you actually when it clicks, you're just like, fuck. Like, that idea manifests in your brain. Like, I think, Ben, the first thing you said on tonight was that I think both of you said it, in fact, Dean and Ben said it mostly is a manifestation of the concept of something, not the actual thing itself.
Wanting it to happen, even if it hasn't. It's like you're wanting it to. And you saying, like, them knocking down that house and moving it ever so slightly.
I can't find any evidence of that happening.
Yeah,
but exactly.
That's the thing. Like,
it's just something that they now in Long Island. It's just, that's what happened. Oh no, nothing happens here anymore. Like, it's quite funny that slight alteration to the law and the history of it, whether it be true or not, has clearly shifted.
Also as well, though, imagine the person who bought the house might have made that up. Like,
exactly,
could have quite easily put barriers around the fucking building for a bit. Oh, we're knocking the Amityville house down. We're going to rebuild it. So, one, the person thinks they're getting a brand new house. Two, they think that it's facing some religious fucking monument or whatever,
direction,
which can't physically be like. Because I mean, I can speak to Mikey and ask him, like, if there is any kind of, like, value to what Jesse was saying. Like, I believe what Jesse was saying, but I think to me, if I was trying to sell a haunted house, I'd be like, oh, it's not even the same house anymore. Like, I've knocked it down. You know,
it's moved.
All the fucking bugs are out of the floorboards and all the sacrifice. Because this is one of the things that because I know Ben wants to touch on the demonology part. I can see him itching.
No, I've got. I want to go on to the occult museum.
Okay.
Well, we'll finalise with the Amityville Horror. Like I said, that has been stapled into our history of paranormal and this, that, the other, as old as, like, well, it's the Enfield haunting is the earliest of our knowledge and history. Granted, Borley Rectory was also there, but then you've got Amityville Horror, which is the haunted house of America. We all know about it. It's a Skinwalker Ranch situation. There's not enough evidence.
It's even those names. It's those kind of like Amityville. If that hadn't have happened, like I said to you, if that hadn't have happened in Amityville, the word wouldn't send shivers up your spine. Like, to me, it still does. Like, the word Amityville makes it's like Horrorville, Devilville. Like, you know, that's what so much of our culture's been built on, is that concept and that kind of like, and like you say about Enfield as well. Like, nobody would have fucking known about Enfield apart from the people who lived in Enfield. Like, and it's the sound of it and the wording. It's like every kind of association with those kind of things creates. Yeah, exactly. And you don't even have to say it. You're like, you just say Amityville or Enfield. People, you know, most people in the loop will be like, no, that doesn't bother me. But as soon as you put that seed in their head, they're just like, oh shit, I won't forget that now. Which is like,
I think it's again another big situation that was clearly just a murder from a psychotic person that was going through a schizophrenic episode, and now these guys just leached themselves on top of it, saw an opportunity, painted a few pictures, boom, there you go.
Yeah,
that's the way. That's again snake oil. Oh, look at this opportunity we've got here. Woo!
Yeah, and then the Warrens come after, like, because they can put a name to it, or they can help them write a book. You know,
right? Yeah, which they have done.
And by this point, they are the team that you bring in to legitimize a case like this. Is
the Spenglers?
Yeah, the Spenglers.
And which is going to bring us on to the next one. I think is that they'd got to a point now where they were so recognized as experts and in this that someone tried to use them as a defense in a murder trial. Which is known as the Devil Made Me Do It trial, but that didn't even get taken into court. That Devil Made Me Do It. That was potentially going to be one of the defenses, but they didn't go with it. And they went with self-defense.
Surprisingly, because in the court of law, like there is a section like self-defense, manslaughter. The Devil Made Me Do It. That one.
That one.
The judge wouldn't let them stand trial. Wouldn't let them be witnesses because they were like, this is just bullshit.
Yeah, because you can't. Essentially, even though when you go into court, you have to swear on the Bible, but they don't allow you to like say, "Oh well, Jesus possessed me and said that it's okay." No, you can't do that.
So that case was, we've called it "The Devil Made Me Do It," was of a guy named Arne Johnson. Is that correct? How you pronounce it?
AKA Arnie.
Yeah, Arnie Shern Johnson. He was arrested because he
devil made me do it.
Yeah, he was arrested and tried for murdering his landlord, Alan Bono. And in his legal defence, as Ben mentioned, that they were trying to claim that the devil had made him do it.
Well, I don't even think it was that big of a thing. I think it was probably just one of the options that they'd put forward.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, the Warrens like to play up their involvement in everything they do.
Right, and they had also claimed that his stepson David was possessed by this same spirit, and that the Warrens were like linked with it a lot, like with the case in general. But more evidence of them making claims that they can't back up. Essentially, was that Ed had said that they had performed a total of 3 exorcisms on David, Arne's stepson. To which all of the priests that were involved in this case, because of course they brought the idea of him being possessed to a court of law, and of course priests would be needed to do this. All the priests sat there and were just like, no, he didn't. No, they didn't even. There were never any exorcisms taking place during this. Yeah, Ed Warren claimed that they had exorcised the stepson 3 times.
Yeah, and then then one night Arne said, pleading, I'll do anything. I'll do anything. Just let me take the demon. I'll take the demon. And the demon used that as a chance to swoop in and demonically control Arne. But actually, if you read into it, Arne was protecting.
Mike, closer.
He was protecting.
There we go.
Arne was protecting his girlfriend at the time's sister who was getting molested by the
landlord.
By the landlord, and he there was a struggle, and he stabbed him with his penknife.
And so, what better way to try and get off of it?
Well, I think it's like one of the things they could say, but I think they were probably always going to go with self-defense, and the Warrens probably went, well, you could say he was demonically possessed, and they've gone, we're not going to do that. And then they've gone, and then the defense lawyer's probably gone, I mean, we could try it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we're not doing that one.
Yeah. But you never know. Yeah, but as well, it came out in 2007. Carl Glatzel, David's older brother, the stepson of Arne, successfully sued the Warrens for unspecified damages, claiming that the family were manipulated by the self-proclaimed demonologists for monetary gain. Carl claimed the Warrens simply created a phony story in an attempt to gain money and fame as paranormal investigators, while at the same time exploiting David's mental illness in the process. They successfully sued them.
Yeah, apparently David's life was ruined. School life was ruined by it, and so was his. So
and he also
David
properly,
yeah.
Yeah, and David in the end wrote a book. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was basically him explaining the whole situation and how everything that the Warrens had fabricated turned into the book of the haunting, or the book that led to the movie The Haunting in Connecticut.
Was it I think it was like The Devil Inside My Head or something in my head.
It's called The Devil in Connecticut, I think.
The Devil in Connecticut.
That's it, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I think there was another family that was linked to The Haunting of Connecticut.
Yeah, this is the one.
This is the Snedker house. Oh,
yeah, it's the Snedker.
Oh my God, this is the best one.
Again.
Did you guys watch the Sally, Jesse, Raphael link that I sent?
No, I haven't. No, mine was.
Oh my God!
JJ, I'm looking forward to this.
I know what happened, but I totally just switched off, and I think this is kind of the same as the Conjuring, the original Conjuring film, but the actual family from that basically told the Warrens to piss off. You're making it worse.
Yeah.
But I think
so. JJ, you clearly know more about this one than me.
Right, I'm not gonna lie, I don't.
Okay.
I watched Sally, Jesse, Raphael. I think must be in the 80s. It's like neon and fucking shit. Anyway, she's just like, and we got a family coming on, and they claim their house is possessed by the devil himself. And then they're just like, they introduce his family. Oh my God. Ben, have you got the narrative? Have you got the actual thing there? Because I don't think I'm going to be able. Oh, sorry. My cat's playing with a fish.
Scared the fucking shit out of me.
I wonder what that was. So let's start off. Look. Oh my God.
Fucking cat.
Everyone that isn't watching, JJ's just shown the cat's toy, and it's
which one?
It's a fucking weird fish, but it doesn't have an hole in its anus.
Oh no, the Snedker.
Well, it does.
Is the Snedker the one that they made The Conjuring about?
No,
so
it was the Haunting in Connecticut movie. Is what the Snedker family was. So the Snedker family moved into a house that used to be a funeral home. That was connected to a hospital that their son was being treated at for cancer.
But it wasn't. There was no hospital. There was no mortuary.
Right.
If there was, they would have had to be told about it before they moved in. But
because
no, it was a funeral home.
It was a mortuary home.
It was a funeral home.
Definitely a mortuary.
So
it was a funeral. It was a funeral home.
The morticians at the funeral home, there were rumours that they had been consistently committing acts of necrophilia on the recently deceased and blah blah blah, but there wasn't any physical evidence of people being arrested and suspicion or claims. It was just urban legend in the area of this.
Again, another family who bought a house because it. Would you guys buy a funeral home as a house?
Well, apparently they didn't know. But they wouldn't.
I mean, I think the massive body wench that they claimed that was in the house would have given it away. Like, I live in a bungalow, so I don't have a body wench, but they said that there was a wench that went.
What, you lift them off of the
Yeah,
Like the
from the
operating
basement,
tables.
from the basement to the second floor, because
What the
apparently
fuck? You don't miss something like that.
they would do them. They would like not do them. Obviously, that's what they got done for. But they would like get all the shit out at the bottom, like all the entrails and blood and stuff, and then take them up to the next floor where they do all the makeup, and then next floor, and then put them in a coffin, and then drop them back down, and that was it for the family. And then just shit, like my girl shit.
Okay,
they would ship them in, and then So the family moved in, and apparently they were like. So I believe that there was a brother and a sister, and then a niece was living there, and they were making claims of like, again, things moving, hoo-ha, like black shadows and things that sorry, this fucking fish is going off again. Unexplainable things, and then they would basically say, "Oh God, this is." This is. Can I just explain the Sally Jesse Raphael thing, because this is all I know about it. So they claim that
who are they? First of all, Sally
Jesse Raphael is like
Trisha,
like Jerry Springer.
Oh right. Okay.
Trishka.
It's a TV show. It's a TV show.
She's like Trisha.
Oh, Trisha.
Kiss my teeth.
Kiss my teeth.
So was that a talk show?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So, and it's like a really 80s talk show. She's got like Deji Ballas on, and bless her, she's lovely. She's like, she wants to believe everything, but the audience are cunts. Like, let's be honest, they're just awful.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they bring this family on. There's the husband, the wife, the niece, and the son. First thing they go, right, I believe that you, they don't cut the mustard. They just ask them a little bit like, oh, there's a bit of shadow everywhere. And they're like, yeah, all right, talk to me about the rape. Talk to me about the sodomy. And they're like, they asked the woman, she's like, yeah, I was sodomized by a demon. And then he talked to the niece, and the niece is like I can't say anymore. I was, and then the mum's like, sorry, the auntie, to her, he's like, yeah, basically she was in bed one night, the demon tugged her duvet off, and then she got up inside her, and then they're all the audience are like, woo, like, oh my God, I can't believe it, oh, and then, oh my God, and then they're like, to distract from it a little bit, speak to the son, he's like, yeah, I seen all kinds of spooky stuff, black shadows everywhere, blah, 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 and then Sally Jesse Raphael was like, that's not what the audience want to hear. Talk to me about the sodomy, Mr. Skegler, or whatever he's called.
Snedker.
And he's just like, yeah. And then she's like, well, just for you to show me, we've got a full life-size bed. And they wheel this bed out. And
no way.
This couple get in this bed. He has to relive his rape from a demon. Hang on, I'll find it.
What?
So he has to relive his rape. Oh no, they don't call it rape; they call it sodomy. He's like, I was in bed one night and I noticed that she had disappeared, his wife, and he's like, all of a sudden I feel this strong presence running up my leg, and the next thing I know, I couldn't move. And he's like, I feel them grabbing up, and it literally, like, he's talking about being bum raped by a ghost.
Which?
He's doing it in a bed, like an actual bed, in front of
a studio
40 people, in front of 10 million people fucking watching it. And he's just like, and he doesn't, he's not bothered. He literally looks like he's reading off a script. And the wife's just like patting him on the back, just like, yeah, carry on telling everyone.
So,
and go on, Ben, sorry.
Oh my God, right, I can't believe I haven't seen this.
This is one of the ones, obviously, I've had to research this as well, and this is like all bullshit. Like none of it is true, right? The guy that they got, the Warrens paid to write the book out about, which is a guy called Ray Garton, is like a professional.
Yes, yeah.
He was a fiction writer.
He's a horror fiction writer, and it follows a pattern of the Warrens getting in horror fiction writers to help them write their books and for their cases. So he said that he interviewed the entire family, and none of their stories lined up. That family was fucked up. They were
they were having a lot of
drug addicts,
drug abusers. Yeah,
there was a lot. There was a lot.
Yeah,
of
so
going on at house.
the big thing in the Sally Jesse Raphael thing. I need to just get this one out because it's probably my favorite thing I've watched for weeks. So after the guy,
is this the only research you did?
Yeah. And I didn't do it very well because I didn't know the original story. But the guy sheepishly gets out of the bed and then puts the duvet back where it was, and then the bed just rolls away.
It sounds like something out of South Park.
It's awful. It sits back down. Someone in the audience was just like, literally like baying for blood, just like, we want to know more about the sodomy. And the woman was like, yeah, I got sodomized and that.
And then wheel the bed back out. Come on, guys.
Talk to me about the time that your neighbour saw you running down the street. And she goes, I was being sodomized the whole way while running down the street. And all I can imagine is like when you go to a toilet at a pub and you get a bit of kitchen roll stuck on your shoe and you can't shake it off, but it just follows you all the way. But she was like making out there's like 12 demons inside it while she's trying to run away, just like, ah! And it just trails the kitchen roll everywhere. Apparently she was trying to get a daughter or a niece away from the house. And then the woman in the audience is just like, what did you do after that? She was like, well, we calmed down and we went back to the house.
I can't believe that. You're lying. There's no way.
It's 100% true. Like, and then all of a sudden it seems like everyone else in the audience is like a neighbor, because he's just like, yeah, and the son used to come round to my house and do drugs, and then it was like, wah! And it literally, after that, every fucking audience member stands up and they're like, yeah, and he never used to empty his recycling. It's so bad.
Stop throwing chairs at each other and shit.
It's hilarious, but.
So, like, do you see what I mean? This is just testament.
And did Lorraine Warren come out? And Lorraine literally looks like it's her first TV interview ever. She's just sat there, just like, oh my God, like a kid's first day at school. And Ed's just like, he sat next to this guy who's just like, these guys are talking bull crap. They didn't get no ghosts. And Ed's like, yeah, we got ghosts. And he's just, oh my God, it's the best thing I've ever seen.
I need to see this. I can't believe it.
Raphael's just like, yeah. Well, what do you think? And he's just like, this is bull crap. You are talking nothing but lies. You are the devil. And he's like, oh, I suppose you're going to make a story about me, are you, son?
This is superb. I need to see this. I can't believe I missed this.
Oh, fuck. Have you got it? Have you got the link?
JJ watched it enough for all of us.
I've got the link. God. I've got it here.
It's on VHS as well. Someone keeps pausing it to get out the commercial breaks. It's so good.
So after that exciting reliving of a Sally Jesse Raphael episode, basically, the Warrens got Ray Garton in to investigate or to help write the book.
Yes,
he interviewed every member of the family, said that family is fucked up, but none of their stories line up. He said this to Ed, and Ed said, just write what you want.
Yeah, that was it. Ray Garton had told a horror magazine in, I can't remember how many years after it was, but yeah, he told the horror magazine that he interviewed all of the family and that he approached Ed in saying to them that, well, this is what they're saying, and it doesn't sound paranormal. It sounds like they have a lot of personal and family issues. And Ed had physically said, oh, they're crazy. You've got most of the story. Just use what works and make the rest up.
Just to intervene here.
Oh, here we go.
Sorry, go on.
It's all real.
In the Sally Jesse Raphael one, they bring on the family who's moved into the house.
Oh, my God.
Nothing's happening.
And they are literally just like, I have not seen nothing in that house. And the guy just won't make eye contact with any, like, at this point, there's like 15 people on stage. And he's just like, not making eye contact. He's just like, I have not seen anything in this house. And then the son is leaning round like a Jeremy Kyle thing. And he's just like, you say there's demons, there is nothing in my house. Like arguing that there is, like he has to argue that there's nothing in his bedroom. And they're like, you just haven't seen it. And then the woman who used to have the house is telling them to pull up the floorboards because apparently somebody went in there and did a ritual and placed, have you seen it, Ben, right? Placed loads of bits of tin. She's saying, go around and see the tin. And everyone's just like, what are you talking about? Like, pull up the floorboards, pull out the skirting boards, there's loads of tin. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? And
This just stuff like...
she's just holding his microphone just like, what the fuck? And then there's a guy in the house going, I've seen him once digging it. And oh my God, it's uproar. It's absolutely incredible.
I need to see this. This is
Lorraine Warren's
outrageous.
just sat there like, I don't know. I just see some shadows and stuff.
We'll put the link in the Discord and make sure you do.
Have you got it?
No, we'll put it in there at some point.
We'll put it in there. I've got it here as well. But if you've got it, JJ, whack it in there.
And if you're listening and you're not part of the Discord, join the Discord because we want to hear what you guys think of some of these cases. There's a quote from Ray Garton that says, "If Lorraine told me the sun would come up tomorrow morning, I'd get a second opinion."
Oh my God.
It kind of goes to testament to what people think of Lorraine Warren's powers.
Right.
She's fully legit.
There's a few other cases. There's the Smurl haunting, which also ends in sexual assault from ghosts.
Of course it does. For fuck's sake.
This goes back to like the history kind of stuff, though, doesn't it? Like, oh, I didn't cheat on my wife, but I did get sucked off by a ghost.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
she was just very pale and on crack cocaine. It was transparent.
Yeah, and then of course, where there was the occult museum that Ed and Lorraine started, which had Annabelle. She was there, and loads of other haunted dolls. There's no case files or evidence to go with these haunted dolls, but they were haunted, according
just
to
allegedly.
And then there was another thing. So yeah, these skeptics went to look around the Warren Occult Museum, and we'll end soon. I just need to tell you a story because I thought it was hilarious. And Ed was giving them the tour, and he was holding up things and that. And
of course,
don't touch anything. Like, you'll be possessed. We'll have to douse you in holy water and bless you before you leave. If you touch anything, please don't touch anything. So obviously, these blokes have gone and they've touched everything. But they were picking up books that Ed was saying that they were like demon encyclopedias,
ritual books and shit.
Yeah, from the 1700s. And one of the guys picked it up, and it was actually just a Dungeons and Dragons book.
What? No. Love it.
What he goes, and this book is like, it was something, and he goes, it's very famous. And guess what book that was, Dean?
Necronomicon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it would be.
Fucking yeah.
It's gone.
The Evil Dead book itself.
They had like something like that. That in hard in book. Yeah, but they've got the one that you've got, Dean, probably, like with the DVD,
the actual face, yeah,
with the DVD inside it.
Yeah.
Ed just hadn't opened any of it because he was too scared.
He bought the Evil Dead 37th special edition.
And then there's a videotape that they say shows someone disappearing, which they actually allowed someone to sort of give it to certify it. They were like that convinced it was real.
Yeah,
bear in mind, it's a tape that they made themselves. The guy who they got to report it and do the review on it, he goes, well, you can clearly see where they stop recording, the person leaves the room, and they start recording again. And then he goes, and
it's because the time thing at the bottom.
Time code
33, 34.
Obviously, they weren't that smart. And then they go, and then you can see an orb where his spirit carries on. But if you no, wait, if you look earlier in like about 12 frames earlier, you can see where that light source is. It's a car pulling past on the driveway.
Fucking sake.
So it basically, what they've done is they've tried to fill this room with memorabilia of these cases, and he's got a backstory for everything, because like Ed is a really, really creative guy. Like he's got a great imagination, and like you know,
it's just his art skills are fucking shit.
Can't draw for toffee.
Yeah.
I know people like that. They're like, I can learn. Like, no, you can't. Like, you can't learn. You can't nothing.
So yeah, basically, this occult museum is full of utter shit.
By the sounds of it.
It's been closed now. It's closed.
Oh, I was just about to say if we could raise enough money to get there.
No,
I'll do a skydive. I'll shave my hair off.
I think Tony Spearer, the son-in-law, has gone, look, this is all shit. We've got no backup for this.
I feel like he's had a tough time over lockdown, because all of a sudden he's got, hi, I'm Tony Shapira, and this is my story about the Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
If you want to hear it, subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Yeah. Who are you?
It's not even that good. It's like, it's here, like underneath. And I feel really sorry for the guy. I reckon he probably spent his life savings buying that museum off him.
And guys, whatever you think, you could, if you want to become a patron for the Nespa and help support Tony Spearer and
I mean, don't just give us the money.
When you think about it, and you go, I was about to say that when you think I'm gonna join this, I'm gonna get the all access. Don't give it to us. Give us the money.
Yeah.
And if we get enough, what we do is we'll get the all access patron for a week, and we'll just release it on our Discord channel.
Sounds like a great.
I'm not saying that I've had dreams about this, but I know what's on the all access. It's just Annabelle spreading her cotton-filled hole. Like
that's the VIP access, that one.
Yeah, exactly. That's her OnlyFans. She's got her own like sub link on there.
Yeah. So and
dirty bitch.
The occult museum is basically just full of tut.
It is. It just looks like tut. It literally looks like tut. Like there is no, like, for instance, you've got some lampshade that looks like it's got a skull with like a big like grey wig on top of it. Why is that there? You've got a Michael Myers looking like William Shatner mask that's got like really big bushy eyebrows and a big sort of like, I don't know, sort of like what's one of those moustaches? What are they? You know, you got
a goatee.
You're like, well, it's kind of a goatee and a moustache, and you got one of them. That just looks like a load of shit. Like, it just looks.
So, if anyone's listening at home, we don't actually want the money to go there. Although
no, we do. Yeah, we do. I definitely want to go there.
The beginning of A House of a Thousand Corpses was basically like this. They were traveling the sideshow freak shows, and then Captain Spaulding and his family fucked him over. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Just in case you haven't seen it yet. It's only 20 years old.
In one picture, it looks like it's got Jigsaw's mask, like in the top right-hand corner of it. Like,
it probably has. That's where the stories of Saw came from.
Yeah.
I once knew this man. He made a house full of mouse traps. And the problem was he didn't want to go to work, so he threw his keys on the mouse trap furthest away from him.
Threw his keys, I tell you.
I want to play a game. Do you want to go to work and provide for your community?
So,
threw his keys and they was like, no, I don't want to go to work.
No, I ain't doing that.
It's okay because your whole country's in lockdown. You can rest easy for another night. I don't know why it's Mickey Rourke who was the voice of Saw in my life.
Yeah. Mickey Rourke. We don't know about these.
But Mickey Rourke does anything now, doesn't he? He does.
Yeah, of course. He boxes two bump chumps in Taiwan for like a quick buck. But, right. So, in conclusion, do we all believe in the paranormal?
1, 2, 3. Yes.
Yes. Do you believe?
There's a bit of a delay.
Yeah. Do you believe the Warrens are the forefront and need to be trusted?
Slightly.
No.
No. Like,
If we were on BBC Two's Room 101, I would put the Warrens in.
oh yeah, without a doubt, the Warrens would be straight in Room 101.
I disagree.
Also,
You do, JJ.
I believe that they think.
I believe
that I got sodomized by 15 ghosts all at once. They were hanging out of me like an old cotton blanket.
I think there was once a belief, but once the dollar signs started appearing,
it just got stupid.
I think that belief may have. Or
I feel
Lorraine was a believer.
that still like drives you, like, without getting like philosophical, like it still drives you, like you get to a point, you know, when we were talking before about DMT and stuff like that, you get to a point in your life where things like that come into play, and it's like a hard reset, and you're just like, maybe I didn't need that. And I feel like if you gave the Warrens, R.I.P., pour one for them, if you'd have given them that in the 80s, they'd have probably just been like, we probably could be doing something better than fucking swindling people out of their money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The funny cases with those guys is that they brought a lot of people on board with them, and they made a lot of money as well. Like,
that
family you were just talking about,
I cannot
the Lutz's family, you know, like, I feel sorry for their other 9,999 cases that didn't get any money.
Yeah.
Especially when they were... Yeah, they did exist. The
ones
existed.
they haven't made movies out of at the moment.
I believe that they believed what they were doing was right. I believe Lorraine believed what they were doing was right. I don't think Ed had any. I don't think he had any talent at all. Not even just a drawing talent. Because I haven't seen him, but the way Ben described it sounds horrendous.
Yeah. He just sounds like a very good con man.
Another little bit of thing about Ed is that he apparently had an affair with a 15-year-old when he was in his mid-30s. And
Annabelle grows up quick.
Judith Penny claims that she aborted more than one of Ed's children in 1973 and 74. And
did he just put it down to mental health?
Penny also admitted in a sworn declaration that Ed was abusive to Lorraine, stating that sometimes Ed would actually have to slap her across the face to shut her up.
I believe that.
And some nights, I thought they were going to kill each other. So.
I believe that. I 100% believe that. Because if you look at old interviews between them two, like old interviews where they're together, she, like the Sally Jesse Raphael she don't speak at all. No. And then as soon as she died, she was like,
as soon as he died.
Fuck.
As soon as he died.
She's like, she's doing interviews with like everyone, like Hollywood, like she wants to get out there. And it feels like one of those old maritime relationships. Like
old timer,
I met him from school. From fucking
he forced me to live in a car
swimming college,
more people's houses.
and because religion, we had to get married.
Yeah, and that's how it seems to me. Because you watch any interview with her, she's always in the background, and this is why I believe she did have that talent, like this. And maybe that's my naivety, but I believe that she probably did see the things she claimed she saw. But I believe that guy was just like, yeah, but I'm going to capitalize on it because I'm a big Yankee.
Yeah, Ed was too controlling, and he was clearly able, or at least he knew that he could whack $1 on it or more.
Yeah. And I do feel sorry for her because it was like she seemed, after he died, she seemed like a girl on spring break.
And it goes back.
Sorry.
No, go on.
If she's a fucking clairvoyant, it's not like he's died anyway. She's just like, oh, you can talk all you want, Ed, but I'm going to turn you off now because I'm clairvoyant, so fuck you. And then he's just like, what? He's like in his like little spirit box, like, no! He's inside Annabelle.
Yeah.
Like she's physically forced him inside.
Oh, he's like, he's inside, isn't he?
Just on the outside, on the inside looking out.
So it just
The stitches are coming away, and she's like, "No, so you bag."
it's like it comes back round to what I was saying at the start as to how I really like the Warrens characters, how they're being, or how Hollywood are portraying them. I think they're they're a likable duo in the sense of that you can take the Warrens and place them in any cryptozoology paranormal event and kind of, even if they were never involved in it, put them into it and it'll make it like entertaining. From an
Do you
entertainment
feel like
perspective,
it's like Batman and Robin when they were doing anti-drug campaigns? You know, like, don't do fucking. Probably won't smack, but don't smoke weed, guys.
In the Conjuring universe, Ed and Lorraine, they're like they're cool. The 50s Mulder and Scully that got married instead of like
that's what I like about them.
But the reality is that Ed was just like a Yankee kind of fat
snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
And he's not quite as slender as the guy who played him
or
in Hollywood.
tall or handsome. In fact, he looks like Danny DeVito in Batman Returns.
He was the American version of Boise.
And also,
he is
Lorraine, who plays her in the films, she's fucking fit. The actual Lorraine looks like the girl who
looks like Pennywise
in Poltergeist.
Oh God!
She's like, "Come to the light, Caroline." I was like, that must be based on her. Her head has the same proportion, like a lot of forehead, little face, big brow.
You got to kind of think like, how much was Hollywood, sort of. Like, did they take on of the Warrens? Because if the Warrens were the most famous for doing that, how much did people just go, "Oh, just make them look like the Warrens"?
So on those conspiracy guys, shout out to those guys. They talk about the contracts that they had, that the Warrens had already sold to people back in the like late 80s.
Really?
Contracts before we'd even heard of them. Like, they'd already sold
the rights
to their stories, to things. And this is where like loads of these like conflicts come in play. Like, obviously we're going to like wrap it up soon, but they're like, it's very weird. Like, especially with Hollywood being how it is.
That's why the Conjuring stories are so different to the real stories, because the real stories were sold on years ago to one production company,
right?
Then they were then sold again,
to which then these executives are looked at and be like, "Fuck, we couldn't even make a TV movie out of this."
There's enough to kind of play with that they're not breaking any contracts. Everyone's happy, kind of thing. So,
yeah.
And at the same time, they were saying that saying that they were slightly misled in some of the things that they were selling, because Lorraine talks about how she sold the rights to one of Ed's books once he died, but then she was arguing about what was written in the book, and the guy was saying, well, basically the book is canon. Like, the book is there for anybody to take. Like, that's not my fault. I'm being courteous by giving you a chance to say your part. And she was like, yeah, but that book isn't really what happened. And he was like, well, if that was the case, why didn't you say that when the book was being produced?
Right.
Why aren't you saying this when the film's being produced? She literally didn't have a leg to stand on, because she was obviously a battered wife. She was probably just like, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to get one of those big fucking gammons around my chops.
Takes back to what Ray Garton said, was make it. Ed said, just fill in the gaps, make it up yourself.
Yeah,
and why they got in fiction writers to write their books, because they needed someone to. Obviously, if the books aren't
entertaining
and entertaining, then no one's going to want to read them. So it feels like that maybe, like you said, Lorraine seems like she was kind of legit clairvoyant, or at least thought she had the sight, and Ed had the foresight to sell everything and anything.
Put a dollar sign.
They were the perfect combo, like an absolute perfect combo.
But we know, like, we're interested to it. We listen to true crime podcasts. We listen to paranormal podcasts. We watch Hellier. You know, we get into all this stuff because it is entertaining. And,
it's entertaining
and
at the end of the day.
It's always been entertaining because even back in like the 60s, Ed knew that it was
something that was going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
And
but it's still entertaining now, isn't it? Especially with how wild our world is. It's like I think we said this on Hellier again, didn't we? Like we just said, like people when you talk to people about it, like, oh, listen to your latest podcast. Yeah, what do you think? Like, oh, I'm not on board. Cool, that's fine. Like it's when people are like, can't believe you believe that fucking shit. I was like, look, man, it's partly like a hobby. Like I fucking love thinking about it. Don't necessarily
and you know, and you. I don't know how you guys feel, but I believe it up until I'm proved wrong or I'm proved. Oh no, different.
Absolutely,
like this, I'm like going, oh, maybe some of this is true. Like you know, maybe some, and then you read it, you're like, oh, it's so obvious. Like it's so obvious that this is bullshit. Like
and it's unfortunate that it is like that. But I like to keep an open mind.
Yeah, Hellier, I see the truth in Hellier, or not the truth, or the bigger picture.
The honesty.
There was honesty there. There was, you know, there was clever editing, or there was clever storytelling that kept you interested longer, and not a lot happened overall, but enough happened to go, there's something there. Like the whole pan ritual thing and how I feel about it. And I still think about Hellier every day and go, this is, you know, I still feel part of that. Whereas with the Warrens, there's none of those stories do I feel part of or feel that.
No, I understand that. Yeah,
I'm kind of with you on that, but I
understand the perspective.
I feel it's, for me, all of them, it doesn't matter what the actual thing they're talking about, it's the human connection of it. Because I've always been in that scenario where I'm like, this could be true, or this could be, and it's when the ridicule comes where like, oh, I can't believe you believe in that. But I believed in it for a long time, and I would argue my fucking heart out for it for a while. But even when now, if someone said, like, say for instance, someone talked to me about Hellier, I'd just be like, but do you know what? Those fucking, like we said at the end of the last episode, those fucking people put their fucking soul and heart into what they wanted to do. And that's fucking amazing. Yeah, but there's no fucking goblins, is there? And I'm just like, yeah, there is no goblins. But then I kind of like play it out like the person who's talking to me about it. I'm like, you're the fucking goblin, man. You're the person who's fucking like, just, you know, those little like barriers that you have to like put up to be this
Let
kind of person.
Let people enjoy what they enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah.
You know, like you said, well, both of you said, man, like the further we go into this like little journey, whatever we fucking started, I mean, it's a podcast, but we're learning all the time from like people's fucking weird commodities and
campfire stories that
and it's fucking great. Like,
the only people that know the truth are the ones that obviously invented the story, whether it be true or not. Like you just said, JJ, it's fucking great. It's great entertainment. Yeah. It's great fun researching this stuff.
Sick.
Yeah, the Conjuring movies are great. As a standalone horror, if you had no idea of the history or anything about it, superb. Like and quite fantastic. Original.
And they're actually pretty scary. Like I don't find many horror films scary, but they are like.
The sun was out when I was watching it, and I wasn't really paying that much attention. But fuck me, it was like a fuck.
Dean, have you ever seen Jacob's Ladder? You know, he just like loses his mind inside his little box.
No, I've not.
I can just imagine Ben like Ben's wife's just like, what's wrong, Ben? He's like that clawing his fucking doors off, and he's like, Daytime Ben, it's summer 2021. He's like, I've been trapped in here forever.
Let's hope that.
Then why is the whole house surrounded by piss?
Right, we need to round this up though, boys. We're hitting the 3 hour mark here. My face is ready to fall off.
I thought
your nose hasn't busted. Congratulations.
It hasn't yet, which is nice, which is good. Good news.
You look like the winner in a championship UFC fight.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir.
It's all right. Just like Habib next week.
Hey.
I think so too.
Yeah, I do. Habib's he's a monster. It's
like an absolute monster.
Yeah, he's gonna knock him out.
But Gaff G is like He beat Ferguson. I thought Ferguson was the only one that could beat.
Yeah, I thought Ferguson.
Yeah,
would
but
be
he's
the one to
fighting
beat
for a
Khabib,
fucking. He's fighting for a plastic belt. Who cares? Like you can buy one of them at Toymaster. I'll fight him. I'll fight him for that. I would. Just if you're listening, Gertchie, I wouldn't fight him, man.
Yeah.
Right. Do we want to? Sorry, Ben. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say that was our take on the Warrens. Please join the Discord and tell us what you think about the Warrens. I think
absolutely. We've always get some good interactions after each episode, which is phenomenal.
I also just want to give a shout out to Pizza Eaters for this shirt.
That's a dope shirt, man.
They're not
I bought it, so I'm not giving them a free shout out. I'm just saying, if you want to send me any more, you know where I am.
And me, I'll have one.
Sorry, I missed that.
And Siri wants one as well.
Siri's in on it. But yeah, that was a great episode, boys, on the Warrens. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that a lot. Do we have a perspective on the next one?
I'm not.
What do we fancy?
I'm not picking next one.
What do we fancy, eh?
Dean, it's your turn to pick.
Is it? Oh yeah, you picked Hellier, didn't you? And then JJ's done this one.
Yeah, because I did all the research on this one.
I'm gonna go.
I'm not doing any research next week.
I'm gonna go with Jack the Ripper.
Ooh,
yes, I knew it was coming because we want to do that.
Yeah. I want to do Jack the Ripper because I think that although I don't think a lot of research is technically needed, you can find out so much in such like a little sort of time perspective, which I think is great. You've got a lot of if I can find particularly the documentary that I remember watching was of I think it was a guy, a Swedish reporter that came over to the UK. He ended up
opening a chain of furniture stores.
Sorry?
Opening a chain of furniture stores.
Yeah. He managed to find out about a particular suspect who was coined as either the unluckiest or quite possibly the unluckiest innocent person ever.
I remember this.
Like how his work trail just happened to lead on the same route as to where every woman was killed or so. But hopefully we can get round to that. But I don't know.
But he still wasn't grass, was he? It was no grass.
He was no grass.
Get snitches.
But hopefully we'll get round to that in 2 weeks. I'd like to think that we do. Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Perfect. So thank you. And please, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please sign up to the Patreon if you want to get the early access and eventually live streams once we get someone who does the live stream level. And yeah, thanks for being part.
Thank you ever so much. Great fun. Appreciate you all. No, it's bye-bye.
Yeah.
Put in a daddy stitch for me.
Get on the Instagram. Is anyone doing the Instagram anymore?
I'm logged onto it.
I mean, I've still got it there.
Yeah, we're on the Instagram.
There's just been no conspiracies, has there? There's been nothing.
Hal Satan, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
That's what happens when it comes to it.
In the thing. Oh, maybe they did. So in the back there is a
Light brown jacket.
cool story.
We're not the first. We definitely